The hero ran quickly through the darkness and noise, surrounded by many monsters. Their screams and rustling merged into a terrifying roar of pursuit, his heart pounding wildly, fear and adrenaline preventing him from focusing. His thoughts were confused. He had no plan or idea how to fight back. Before this ominous crowd, he felt helpless. Any attempts to come up with something seemed futile. In despair, the hero focused and began drawing a magic circle beneath his feet. His hands worked quickly and confidently, as if his entire life depended on it. Light flared around him, giving him strength. The magical circle gradually turned into a water barrier, transparent and strong. The water rose and became a living shield meant to protect him from attackers. It seemed that nature itself had taken his side. But the monster relentlessly advanced forward and destroyed the defense with one blow. The water obstacles shattered like fragile glass, leaving the hero defenseless. All his hopes for rescue vanished in an instant. It seemed that everything was over for the hero. He felt the last spark of hope fading. He was wearing a virtual reality helmet. Suddenly, he took off his helmet. It was all just virtual reality. Taking a deep breath, he calmed down and remembered that everything here was under control. This game is perfect for a lesson about magic and survival. Its realism and intensity are simply impressive. The hero used magic to take a can of cold coffee from an invisible pocket. A pleasant aroma filled the room, restoring strength and clearing thoughts. It seemed that magic here was a usual part of everyday life. In this world, people constantly improve their magical skills, but using combat magic is strictly forbidden. Mitaro handed the coffee to his colleague, smiling supportively. Such a small thing lifted the mood and strengthened the team's spirit. Every minute of mutual assistance mattered. Suddenly, the train crashed into the building where the hero was located. The walls shook, dust flew into the air, and true chaos engulfed everything around. This moment changed everything. The hero lay among the debris, feeling pain and fear. His comrade called to him, trying to help him get out from under the rubble. Everything around seemed unstable and unreal to him. Mitaro died in this world. His consciousness sank into darkness. The last thing he thought about was his relatives, whom he never managed to save. But the end became the beginning of something new. But soon he woke up in another world, completely unlike the previous one. He was overwhelmed by surprise and a feeling of something unusual. He lay on soft grass. Looking at himself, he saw no scratches. The last minutes of his life and the face of a colleague who tried to help vividly surfaced in his memory. These memories were painful, but they helped maintain a connection with the past. The area around was completely unfamiliar. No usual things or buildings, only endless trees and the silence of the forest. The hero felt lost. There was no one around, only the wind rustled in the treetops. It seemed this world was deserted and full of mysteries. He began to look for some noticeable sign. The hero tried to use search magic to find out where he was and where to go next. His hands moved intricately. Ancient spells surfaced in his mind. He regained hope. He had a magical information device in his pocket. He could uncover any secrets of this world. The screen blinked, ready to provide the needed answer. It was his only assistant. The terminal informed him that he was in the forests of Mini, a place the hero had never heard of before. This discovery both puzzled and frightened him. What kind of strange world was this? Mitaro admitted to himself that he had never heard such names and did not know about the existence of this place. This meant he was very far from home, and his past life was left behind. The new world demanded new knowledge. The terminal had a map of the area with marked paths and important objects. This gave at least some support in the unfamiliar place. Now it was necessary to figure out the new conditions. The world he found himself in was completely different, as if another reality existed alongside his own. Different laws and rules of magic operated here, so adapting was not easy. The hero felt like a traveler. The main character realized that he found himself in a new body and in a new place. This gave him many new opportunities, but also added new responsibilities. His new life path was just beginning. On the map, he noticed a danger sign warning of a possible threat. This immediately caused anxiety and alertness. He needed to stay attentive and prepare for any trials. The sign meant that magical animals, strong and cunning creatures, were hiding somewhere nearby. For a novice, their appearance could become a real problem. He needed to prepare for such an encounter. The terminal suggested using offensive magic, although in his past life it was forbidden. This was a real challenge and an opportunity to show what he was capable of. The hero pondered. Was it worth breaking old rules for his own salvation? Moreover, the device showed magical circles needed for combat spells. Their complexity and beauty were impressive, and to master them, only time and perseverance were required. The hero said that these spells contained dangerous information that should not be spread. He understood the risks and knew that magic was a power to be handled wisely and carefully. Despite his doubts, he still tried to use magic, repeating movements and words, feeling energy gradually filling his body, but the result was always unexpected. This was only the first step. Suddenly, the terminal froze and stopped working. Everything turned off without any warning. The screen went dark, and the hero found himself in complete darkness. The loss of connection to information overwhelmed him with panic. He lay in panic, not knowing what to do next. His heart was pounding loudly, and thoughts spun in his head about how to get out of this situation. A feeling of helplessness engulfed him completely. Mitaro tried to recall the magical circles, grouping knowledge in his mind. He realized he had forgotten much due to lack of practice and training. So for him, the most important thing became restoring his skills. All he had left were ordinary daily spells, simple and safe. They did not provide great power, but were familiar and reliable. This was exactly what he built his life on in the new world. Although he remembered some complex spells, their use required training and concentration, so the hero understood that a lot of work and effort awaited him. Suddenly he heard cries for help from the depths of the forest. This made him shudder and immediately gather his strength. Perhaps this was his chance to prove himself and start all over again. The hero moved toward the sound of piercing screams from the depths of the forest. His heart pounded with excitement, but determination did not allow him to stop. In the distance, a cart was slowly moving, on which sat a frightened man. He opened his eyes wide in fear and held tightly to the reins as if his fate hung by a thread. Behind the cart, a giant monster was rushing, the thunder of its paws tearing the ground, and fearsome cries echoed around. Everything around seemed engulfed in chaos and fear. Catan, a huge boar, suddenly charged at the cart as if wanting to ram it to stop the pursuer. On the outside, he did not look like a monster from a game at all. It was a living creature of flesh and blood, breathing and feeling real and heavy. The main hero hesitated, understanding that if he used combat magic, he would violate the prohibitions of this world. He doubted because inside him duty and fear of possible consequences were fighting. But if he did not use force, the man would definitely die in the monster's claws. There was no time to think. Every second was extremely important. Daring to take a risk, Mitaro decided to try using magic. His spirit grew stronger, and faith in his own strength gradually returned. Now he was ready to join the battle. Jumping onto the cart, he felt every creak and shake. His body was filled with energy, and there was only one goal in his mind: to save this man. If the attempt failed, he would at least distract the monster and give a chance to escape. It was worth risking for the sake of saving a life. The hero quickly created a magic circle that shone with mysterious symbols. His movements were clear and confident, as if he had long prepared for this very moment. The spells worked. The magic circle lit up with a bright blue light and filled everything around with strong energy. The hero felt a surge of strength and confidence, rejoicing in success. Minato immediately focused his gaze on the target, a giant monster that was getting closer with every moment. A fire of determination and courage flared in his heart. From the bright circle appeared a shining lightning spear. It gleamed, moved, and seemed alive, as if it chose the target itself and was about to strike the enemy with extraordinary power. But because the energy had been accumulating for a long time, Minato understood that he could not hold this spell for long. The magic began to drain his strength, and he had less and less time left. Suddenly he remembered the advice. The spear must be thrown immediately, not held in the hands for long. This was their only chance to deliver a decisive blow to the enemy. The magical charge hit the monster and threw it back with a wave of energy. The beast growled dully and froze, stunned by the power of the strike. The man in the cart looked at all this fearfully, not believing his eyes, while Catan lay motionless, as if frozen and turned to stone. The ground around the well was broken and full of deep cracks from the strong blow. Everything looked as if a fierce battle had just taken place here. The hero himself could not believe that all this had really happened. Surprise and pride mixed in his heart. Now he truly believed in the power of battle magic, which he had previously known only from legends and games. The man on the cart was stunned and could not understand what exactly had happened and how he was saved. His eyes quickly darted around, trying to figure out what was going on. As expected, in this world knowledge and use of magic were rare and mysterious. He noticed that many people were afraid of magic and did not understand it. Micharo rejoiced that he was able to help and save a life. This feeling gave him inner satisfaction and a new impetus to move forward. The rescued man named Gitli sincerely thanked the hero for the help. His voice sounded friendly and sincere. The hero stated his name and thanked for the help and rescue. Thus began their first acquaintance. The man asked with interest how exactly he was saved. He wanted to understand what this mysterious power was. Hearing his story, the hero was frightened by his own words. They seemed too incredible to him, even for himself. He showed the man a magical informational device, hoping that he would understand how it worked. But Gitli did not understand this invention and looked at him with surprise and confusion. Mitaro wondered if this man was really an ordinary merchant, as he claimed, and doubt flashed in his eyes. The hero was overwhelmed with strong emotions. He was scared by the unknown and what was happening now. An awkward silence settled between them, as if time had frozen in anticipation of the next step. The hero agreed to go with the younger partner to the nearest city, promising to help him get used to the new conditions and find the necessary support for the further journey. He also suggested visiting the Adventurers Guild, a famous place in the city where one can receive various tasks and meet experienced warriors. Gitli assured that there would be no problems with the money and everything would be resolved. He handed Mitaro an apple and smiled kindly, which slightly eased the tense atmosphere. The character himself came up with a convenient excuse so that the hero could explain why he was here. The young man liked this excuse, and he felt calmer and more trusting. They sat on the cart and drove off, forgetting about their fears. The nearest city was called Mania, and that was where the travelers were heading. The main hero thought that now he was going to the city of adventurers, where his new life would begin. The cart slowly rolled along the narrow forest road, and its wheels creaked plaintively. At that moment, it was as if the mechanism of fate was set in motion, and everything around began to change. The hero carefully stepped out of the carriage, his feet touching the city cobblestones for the first time. He looked around attentively. The city noise and human voices were different from the calm of the forest. A completely new world opened before him. From around the corner, a small animal with a fluffy tail and shiny eyes ran out. It stopped abruptly and looked attentively at the hero, as if examining someone new. Its tiny paws barely touched the ground. Although this creature looked like a little monster, Minato was not afraid at all. He was open to everything new and perceived it more as a friend than a threat. His eyes sparkled with curiosity. The hero reached out his hand to pet the animal, but remembered that these creatures are very poisonous. He stopped, did not want to take the risk, and stepped back. Caution is more important. Meanwhile, Hitler carefully studied the map and devised a strategy. His fingers slid along the roads, marking the route and possible obstacles. His face was focused and serious. The entire journey from the forest to the city took almost half a day, filled with various emotions and thoughts. The hero felt tired, but at the same time awaited new adventures. Time and space seemed especially alive. Nato believed that for long trips a carriage was best suited, especially considering the dangers on the roads. The main thing was comfort and safety, and speed was not always decisive. Such a choice seemed quite reasonable. Near the city gates, they were met by guards who carefully examined all arrivals. The soldiers stood straight and intently looked into faces. This was the hero's first official encounter with the new world. One of the guards recognized the man and asked if he had come with anyone. His voice was calm and businesslike, but his eyes showed wariness. This question was meant to determine how they would treat the newcomers. He replied that it was time for them to part ways here, but hinted that they might see each other again. His words were friendly, but a farewell was felt. He wanted the hero to feel free. He suggested coming to the gates if any danger or need arose. It was a kind of guarantee of safety and support. In the new conditions, such acquaintances were very valuable. The merchant suggested meeting later to discuss all the details and help get oriented in the city. His smile added confidence, and the hero realized he was not alone here. Manadao walked through the streets, observing the life of the city. People passed by, someone was talking, the noise of trade echoed around. Everything around was moving and bustling. Every step brought new impressions. The building of the Guild of Heroes stood out among others, majestic and somewhat intimidating. Its doors seemed to call to a world of adventures and trials. For the hero, this was the beginning of a new stage. He entered the room where people had already gathered, experienced fighters and newcomers. The air was tense, but along with it there was a sense of hope. Minato felt a surge of excitement. He felt embarrassed. Everyone around seemed stronger and more confident. He felt small and insecure, as if he had entered a completely new world. But his inner voice urged him not to give up. In the carriage, Jitali explained the different ranks of adventurers and how this affects their skills and tasks. This information helped Minato better understand how everything works and what opportunities exist, which was important for better orientation. The hero scanned the wall, on which various contracts and offers for adventurers hung. Each promised trials and rewards. Minato carefully reviewed them. He was interested in the task with the Manian bull. He thought it was difficult and dangerous. It could have worked, but something made him doubt. Despite the interest, there was no information on the board about the same board that recently helped them in the forest. This made the hero wonder how the tasks are connected to reality. He continued browsing other offers, trying to find something more suitable for himself. Among the many options, each looked interesting in its own way and at the same time complex. Finally, he found the task of collecting herbs. It was simpler and less stressful. This is a good option for a beginner to get used to the new conditions. The road led the hero to the registration desk, where all the formalities had to be resolved. Minato felt both excitement and responsibility at the same time. He approached the counter behind which stood a friendly girl with kind eyes and an attentive gaze. Her smile inspired trust. She warmly welcomed the newcomer, offered to help with the documents, and answered all the questions. She spoke simply and kindly. Minato received questionnaires that needed to be filled out, indicating personal data and magical skills. This was the first step toward official recognition. Filling out the documents, he indicated that he is a mage. This confirmed his skills and experience, and influenced what his future path would be. The hero explained that he considers himself a mage because he learned a combat spell, although in this world it is almost never used. This is what distinguishes him from others. Minato was surprised that even though he heard an unfamiliar language, he still understood it without any problems. For him, this was a real mystery. He handed the completed questionnaire to a girl named Shira, who carefully reviewed the documents, and surprise and interest appeared in her gaze. Shira was surprised that the hero did not have a magic wand, as it usually helps to better control magic and makes it more stable. This was strange and required an explanation. She explained that the wand helps to control power and advised him to take one for convenience. Her care was sincere. Shira gave him a simple-looking wand, but with great potential. It was a symbol of trust and support. Minato tried to draw a magic circle with the wand, focusing on his inner energy. His hands were shaking, but he was determined. He felt that something inside had changed. Power was pouring out of him, opening new possibilities and abilities. This was the beginning of a new stage in the development of magic. The hero created a ball of light that softly illuminated the room. His magic became noticeable and tangible to everyone nearby. Shira looked at him with surprise and admiration, noticing his talent and abilities. It was a sign that she approved of him. Mito believed that he could die in the dungeons if he used magic, as the rules there are stricter and the danger much greater. His fear was completely justified. But despite his fears, he was not going to give up magic. He was ready to go further, to learn and become better. The girl smiled sweetly, kindness and sincere interest shining in her eyes. The main character looked at her cautiously, as if sensing that something more was hidden behind her smile. His inner voice urged him to be wary. An unpleasant memory surfaced in his mind, how he was once deceived and framed. This recollection squeezed his heart with distrust and anxiety. Past experience influenced every new step. Shira returned his wand, carefully placing it on the table. Confidence and a bit of fatigue were felt in her movements. It was a sign of trust, but at the same time a test. Then she asked which type of magic he was most inclined to and what he liked more. The question sounded calm, but there was importance and seriousness in her voice. Minato was silent. He did not immediately find what to answer. Inner conflict and doubts made him simply remain silent. Suddenly, crystals appeared on the table, gently glowing and reflecting different aspects of magic, as if waiting for the hero to choose his path. He extended his index finger toward one of the crystals, as if something invisible was pushing him. His heart beat faster. He felt that this moment was very important. Among the bright crystals flickered a dark sphere, a symbol of darkness, which was also included in the list of inclinations. This darkness caused fear and distrust. The main character felt anxiety, as if something dark and dangerous was hidden behind this choice, some invisible threat looming over him. In his old world, everyone could control all types of magic, and this was considered normal. Freedom of choice and power were closely connected. All the crystals lit up simultaneously in Minot, as if he possessed a unique ability to control all types of magic, which greatly surprised everyone around. The girl who was watching this was amazed. She had never seen anything like this before, and it seemed incredible to her. She had seen mages recently, but never like these. She respectfully called the young man a sage, a rare and powerful wizard capable of understanding all the secrets of magic. Sages were rare people. Legends and fairy tales were made about them. To be one of them is a great honor and a great responsibility. In the past, Shiri had another similar figure, a sorcerer who tragically died, leaving behind many secrets and unsolved mysteries. Meanwhile, all the adventurers gathered behind Minato, whispering about the strange event. Doubts and astonishment were visible in their eyes. All this reminded the hero of the hustle and difficulties he experienced at the office job. Constant talks and intrigues. He himself said aloud that this result seemed to him false and unlikely. His words showed that he was struggling with himself, He tried to justify himself, saying that it might be a residual effect of a past life or magic. The main character tried once more, but now was more attentive and focused to check if anything would change. Focusing, he slowly raised his finger to the chosen crystal, trying to control every movement. When they touched it, nothing happened. The crystal remained calm and motionless, as if holding its breath. Minato rejoiced at this. The lack of reaction meant that the terrible predictions did not come true. But the adventurers were disappointed because they were expecting a miracle and a display of true power. The girl Shira did not understand why he was so cheerful and joyful, although it seemed that nothing special had happened. Meanwhile, people in the guild discussed what was happening, sharing their thoughts and assumptions. Many believed that it was a way to attract attention and show one's significance. After that, they completed the registration, and the queue finally ended. Minato is issued a guild card, a document that confirms he is an adventurer and has all the corresponding rights. He was also enrolled in the introductory course so that he could master the basics and rules of working in the guild. He was advised not to attend classes after a heavy meal to avoid discomfort and loss of strength. Everyone wished him luck and success in his new endeavor, supporting him with a good mood. Minato arrived at the training camp, a place where adventurers learn and improve their skills. The main character was confident that the wizard was not at all as he had imagined, and he really wanted to find out how he actually differed. In the camp, training was in full swing. The clanging of swords and explosions of magical spells echoed all around. He came across a sword, a symbol of courage and trials, which became his faithful companion on the journey. A few daredevils gathered together, preparing for the upcoming attack. Determination and excitement were visible on their faces. The atmosphere was tense and filled with anticipation. Another from the group took a defensive position, carefully watching the enemy. He was ready to repel any attack. His movements were precise and confident. Suddenly, he struck one of the students with the sword hilt and pushed him back. He himself barely kept his balance, staggering. The fight began within the first minutes. The teacher watched the events with dissatisfaction. He did not like that the students often acted without a plan and discipline. He wanted them to work more organized. The hero was a little scared by the sudden movement. Doubt appeared in his eyes for a moment, but he quickly pulled himself together and prepared to act further. One of the students found himself under the threat of a sword pointed directly at him. Everyone immediately felt the tension. It became clear that the training was turning into a real trial. The pros and cons of the events taking place are being listed. Each moment is considered from the point of view of effectiveness. The students listen attentively and draw their conclusions. The teacher was dissatisfied with others as well. He pointed out their mistakes and shortcomings. His goal was to help everyone become better and stronger. People came to understand which tasks suited them based on their experience. Everyone was looking for their place in the team. The discussions were lively, everyone showed interest and wanted to learn something new. The instructor looked carefully at the hero, as if assessing his abilities. The hero felt this gaze upon him, and it gave him both confidence and nervousness at the same time. Mitaro was already ready for battle. His body tensed as if expecting action. He felt both fear and determination at the same time. But he did not need to fight because he was a wizard. His strength was not in combat, but in magic. Magic was his main weapon for defense. The main hero said that he could use only one type of magic. This was his weakness, but at the same time a feature. He aspired to develop and learn more. He was offered to show his skills on targets. It was a great chance to demonstrate his mastery and confidence. Everyone waited with interest for the result. In this world, magicians were treated strangely. Their abilities caused fear and distrust. The main hero began to understand why people treated them that way. Mitaro began to cast spells, concentrating on the incantation. His movements were smooth and precise. Magic seemed to come alive in his hands. He aimed at the target and prepared to shoot. Tension filled the air. Everyone watched his every move attentively. He started shooting at the targets one by one. Each of his shots was accurate and confident, which greatly impressed all who watched. Recalling his skills, the hero used everything he knew. He was maximally focused and sought to show the best result. He consecutively hit 2 more targets, confirming his accuracy. With each successful shot, his confidence grew, and a gleam of victory appeared in his eyes. The 5th enemy suffered especially strongly from his magic. After a series of strikes, he barely held his ground. The spectators were amazed by what they saw. The adventurers were impressed by such power. No one expected that someone could control such might. The hero inspired admiration and wonder in everyone. At this time, the hero was very tired, felt tension and exhaustion, breathed quickly, and his body asked for rest. But he was satisfied with his success. The instructor also opened his mouth in surprise. He did not even hide that he was impressed by the student's skill. It was genuine respect and recognition. Aikus was invited to assess the hero's abilities. His appearance immediately added seriousness and significance to the event. Everyone eagerly awaited the expert. The mage teacher descends from the tower, carefully watching everything happening around. His gaze is piercing and stern. He is ready to evaluate the situation. The hero carefully observes the hero, analyzing each of his steps. He tries to understand at what level the student is and what he can do. This was a very important moment. The instructor shows tricks with a magic wand. He is confident, moves precisely and skillfully. One wants to emulate him. He explains that mages never go into battle first, but always stay behind to help others. This is a rule of discipline and tactics. Such a strategy helps to survive. Now the young man understands why mages are treated exactly this way. He understood the reasons and limitations for his caste. This discovery completely changed his view of the world. It is also said that combat magic cannot be used here. This rule is related to safety and resource conservation. The hero reflects on this information. But the hero can become an attacker in any team, even if the rules do not allow it. He is given faith and support. This inspires him to develop further. Now Mataro is a true adventurer, ready for new challenges. He was accepted into the team with respect and trust. He feels pride and satisfaction. They shake hands, confirming friendship and alliance. This gesture means support and acceptance, and a new stage in life begins for the hero. They can write him a letter of recommendation for future tasks. This opens new opportunities and prospects. The hero looks to the future with hope. The hero was even offered to become the ruler of the country, but he refused. He had other goals, and he clearly understood his priorities. This says a lot about his character and convictions. The main character does not understand why not everyone can use combat magic. For him, it is a real mystery. He tries to find answers and explanations. He was answered the question, explained the limitations of magical resources. This helped him accept reality and plan his further actions. This information was very important. They say that combat magic consumes a lot of mana, so it is rarely used. Because of this, tactics and battle strategy have to be planned differently. The hero takes this feature into account in his plans. The hero feels that he can make many more lightning strikes. His confidence grows despite all limitations. He is ready for new achievements. He thanks the terminal for help and support. For him, it becomes a true assistant as a source of information and resources. The hero values such support. The main character really wants to learn more magic, even despite the difficulties. His thirst for knowledge is great, and he does not stop at what has been achieved. Teachers are surprised by such a desire to learn. For them, it was unexpected and unusual. This shows the hero's determination. The young man admits that he knows only one spell but wants to learn more. He is sincere and open, always ready to change. Shira suggests the hero go to the forest north of the city for further training. It is a good opportunity to gain new knowledge and experience. The hero agrees to this proposal. The hero stands before a large book, preparing to study it. The book commands respect and admiration. This is the beginning of a new stage in his learning. The book is thick, over 1,000 pages. It promises a lot of interesting and useful information. The hero feels the burden of knowledge awaiting ahead. For him, this is a real challenge. The hero begins to read the book and tries to understand what it is about. He is attentive and persistent because he has a goal, to acquire new skills. He cannot understand why in this world mages are considered weak. This question troubles him, and he really wants to find out the reasons. He begins to suspect that he has overlooked something in his understanding of magic. This makes him dig deeper. The desire to learn more only grows. He tries to use storage magic, experiments. The hero is not afraid to make mistakes and learns through practice. This is an important step in his development. Redraws the magic circle in the notebook to better understand its structure. This method helps organize knowledge and gain a deeper understanding of the topic. Mitro learns about his strength by comparing results. This helps him set goals and understand where to develop. He assesses his capabilities. The hero understands all the subtleties of lightning magic, notices the smallest details. This allows him to see the true depth of magic. Now the hero is ready for the difficult work. Minato noticed there were many unnecessary elements in the magic circle that interfered with the spell's power. This helped him understand which parts could be removed for better spell performance. He began removing unnecessary elements from the circle's construction, simplifying the spell. And thanks to this, the magic became significantly stronger and more effective. His work brought real results. The spell became simpler and shorter, but even stronger because of this, which inspired the hero to continue experiments and improvements. Minato changed the structure of the magic circles, applying a creative approach. The new scheme significantly increased the quality and power of the spell. Thanks to knowledge from school and perseverance, he realized that he could become a good adventurer. Education and practice work together and give hope for success in the future. A girl was passing by, and Minato immediately noticed her. Her appearance added a bit of emotion to the air, and the hero could not help but notice her. She approached the clearing where Minato was working, stepping quietly so as not to disturb the peace, and watched his work with curiosity. The girl secretly observed him, trying to understand exactly what he was doing. Her innocent curiosity added a bit of mystery to the situation. Minato continued drawing the magic circle, working with concentration. His movements became more precise and confident, and the magic gradually came to life. Mana began to flow through the hero's body, directing itself into the spell. He felt this flow of energy. It was an important stage of sorcery. He felt a slight tension in his palm as the energy gathered together. It was a familiar and thrilling sensation that confirmed the magic obeyed his will. Minato created a dance of fiery whirlwinds that transformed into a bright and powerful spell. The magic flowed smoothly and beautifully, and the hero was satisfied with the result. Mataro was happy with his success. All his efforts were not in vain, and a happy, proud smile appeared on his face. This victory was an important step on his path. But accidentally he sets everything around on fire, and a blaze begins. The magic produces an unexpected effect, and the hero has to act instantly. The situation becomes very dangerous. Use water magic to extinguish the fire quickly and cleverly. Water tames the flames and saves the situation. The hero shows how he can control the elements. Water accidentally splashes the girl, causing an unexpectedly funny situation. Everything around becomes wet, and the hero along with the girl experience this joyful moment. The main character sits down at the notebook to write down his observations and draw conclusions. His research continues. His journey is just beginning. The hero looked the girl in the eyes. Their gazes met for a moment, filled with excitement and interest. This brief moment could become the beginning of a friendship or even something more. Mitaro sleeps in the tavern, deeply and peacefully. The silence around gives him a well-deserved rest after a long journey and new impressions. His consciousness plunges into the world of dreams. The sun is already shining brightly outside the window, filling the room with warmth and light. A new day begins with hopes and possibilities. Rays break through the curtains, calling for new achievements. He realizes that he has found himself in a completely different, unfamiliar world. He is overwhelmed with surprise and anxiety, but at the same time curiosity. Every day here gives new mysteries. Food was placed on this table in front of Mitaro, and the fresh smell of dishes filled the room with coziness. It was a true manifestation of care and hospitality. The hero felt relief and gratitude. The man next to him does not understand what the hero is saying because they speak different languages. Because of this, alienation and misunderstanding arise between them. Mitaro feels lonely. The hero is offered to go to the guild to receive a task and start a new life. This is a chance to show himself and reveal his abilities. He wonders whether it is worth accepting this challenge. The main character pondered, weighing all the pros and cons, doubts and hopes intertwined in his head. To make this decision, courage and determination are needed. Mitaro knows that with Jet Li's money he can live carefree for some time. This gives him confidence and freedom of choice. He does not rush with decisions. The desire to try magic becomes even stronger. The hero is attracted by its mystery and power. He strives to develop and learn something new. New tasks appeared on the board, and Shira urged Mitaro not to waste time. She was excited and tried to inspire him to act. The guild was filled with bustle and anticipation. The young guy was being pushed in line, forced to choose faster. He felt pressure and a bit of confusion. The tension grew stronger with every minute. He became interested in one of the tasks. It seemed suitable and interesting to him. In his thoughts, he had already begun to figure out how to accomplish it. This gave him a bit more confidence. Mitaro was determined to complete this task, seeing it as an opportunity to prove himself and gain experience. His desire to succeed was clear and noticeable to everyone. But the task was suddenly taken away from him, which made him feel disappointed and hurt. It seemed unfair to him and slightly spoiled his mood, yet despite this, he did not give up. The main character found himself among a crowd of people who seemed like a real obstacle. He was confused among the many faces and voices. Chaos and tension prevailed around. However, he still had one more task, which became a small victory and hope for him. It gave him confidence in a better future. Mitaro felt a surge of strength. The task turned out to be simple and clear. It was necessary to collect magical stones. It seemed like an easy job. The hero gladly took on the work. He needed to find and collect magical stones with special properties. For this, he had to be attentive and diligent. The hero was ready to get to work. However, the mission failed because almost all the stones in easily accessible places had already disappeared. This was an unpleasant surprise and caused disappointment. The hero found himself in a difficult situation. He proposed to raise his rank to gain access to more complex and interesting tasks. This is a new stage in his development. He understands that it cannot be avoided. Mitaro recalls what a promotion in rank means and what requirements arise with it. In his memory, the advice of mentors and the experience of past years come alive. He understands that there is a lot of work ahead. Raising rank is a long and difficult path that requires a lot of strength and time. For the hero, it is a true test of endurance, but he is ready to accept this challenge. Despite all difficulties, he still sets out to collect magical stones. Determination overcomes doubts. Mitaro is full of strength and ready for new challenges. A young man arrives at the place where the task must be completed. He looks around carefully. It's quiet and calm all around. He's ready to start working. But soon he feels hungry, and it reminds him of itself. The hard journey and stress have taken their toll on his body. The hero understands that he needs to eat something. He sits directly on the stones and savors simple food. A girl attracted by the smell of food approaches him from behind. Her appearance immediately adds life and warmth around. The hero feels a slight excitement. She felt a pleasant aroma and became interested in the treat. This became an excuse to get acquainted. A light and friendly conversation started between them. Mutual interest appeared. The hero invites the girl to eat together, showing care and kindness. Such a simple act brings them closer and creates a trusting atmosphere, and the girl smiles in response. The girl looks attentively at the main character, trying to understand his character and thoughts. Her gaze shows sincere interest and kindness, and at this moment a special feeling of mutual understanding prevails between them. She recognizes him as the man with the fiery flower, a sign of strength and special destiny. This discovery evokes respect and curiosity in her, and their bond grows even stronger. She continues eating, enjoying the moment and the conversation with the hero. Her mood becomes calmer, and the atmosphere warmer and friendlier. Trust appears between them. The main heroine is curious about where he plans to go next, sincerely concerned about his plans. Her question reveals genuine excitement and a desire to learn more. She is very interested in observing the actions of the main character and feeling close to him. Her feelings grow stronger and she wants to be near to support him. Emmy remembered the upcoming test and quickly left, focusing on her own affairs. Her hurried departure left a mark on the hero's soul. The girl quickly runs away and disappears from sight. Their meeting was brief but important. The hero reflects on what happened. Before parting, they wished each other luck, filling themselves with hope for the future. It was a warm farewell with faith in new meetings. Matura set off into the dense forest with determination, ready for any trials. The nature around seemed mysterious and alluring. Something unknown awaited him. Deep in the forest, he came across ancient ruins, the remains of a long-lost civilization. Walking through the ruins, he wants to be as careful as possible, knowing that dangers may be lurking around. Touching the wall, he realizes it is made of reinforced concrete, a material rarely found in this world. This discovery surprises him and makes him wonder where these ruins came from. The hero begins to seek answers to these mysteries. This concrete far surpasses anything he has seen so far. He is impressed by such a technological level. It completely changes the perception of ancient civilizations. The hero approaches a mysterious triangle, a symbol with special meaning. This place immediately attracts attention and raises many questions. The hero's heart begins to beat faster. The main hero recalls what Emmy told him about this symbol and tries to understand how it relates to what he saw. Thanks to these memories, he realizes the importance of this place. He feels a connection to the past. In the triangular room, the hero notices secret doors hidden in the wall, which were previously unnoticed. This find fills him with excitement and curiosity. The hero prepares for new adventures. Behind the doors appear stairs leading down into the unknown. The descent evokes both excitement and anxiety. Mitaro, despite fear, decides to go further. Suddenly, a dagger appears from the darkness and flies at the hero like a trap. Mitaro instantly strikes the knife with lightning, using magical protection. He acts quickly and precisely, which allows him to avoid danger. Magic becomes his helper. He does not understand what this object is and why it behaves so strangely. Confusion and caution appear in his eyes. The dagger looks like a monster in the shape of a knife, alive and mobile. Such a weapon causes fear and amazement. The hero realizes he has encountered something very dangerous. It turns out these are real sharp claws. A dangerous living weapon that can attack instantly. The situation becomes very tense. Mitaro understands what a threat this is. Despite all his efforts, the main hero does not find the magical stones needed to complete the task. His search proves futile, and this upsets him. The young man decides not to stop at what he has achieved, but to move forward, believing in his perseverance. His spirit remains strong and ready for new adventures. Minato uses light magic, directing it around himself. His spells brightly illuminate the darkness, giving confidence and strength. With the help of this magic, it is easier to resist danger. There is no one around. Silence and emptiness prevail everywhere. The atmosphere is alerting and frightening. The hero realizes he is in a dangerous zone. The hero remembers that this task was considered safe, but he has already been attacked. This completely overturned all his assumptions. The attack was unexpected and alarming. Now he understands that the situation is much more complicated than it seemed at first. In the corridor, he notices doors that immediately attract attention. They look important and hide some secret. The hero prepares to take the next step. The doors turned out to be locked, and they cannot be opened in a simple way. Cleverness and magic are needed. Motaro begins to look for how to solve this problem. The main character takes out the book of magic to find the necessary spell. He carefully studies the pages, diligently memorizing important runes. For him, this book is the key to success. He creates a magic circle using his knowledge and experience. This circle protects him and gives him strength. The hero focuses on performing the ritual. Uses a fire cannon. This is a strong and bright spell for attack. The flame engulfs the space in front of it, forming a barrier and frightening enemies. Behind the door is a hidden sharp blade, trap, or weapon ready to attack. It is dangerous and can catch the hero by surprise. Motaro prepares to defend himself. He defends himself using magic and his skills. Every move he makes is deliberate and swift, for the hero fights for his life. Concludes that this task is not for beginners. The difficulty level is much higher. Experience and strength are needed for this. Motaro understands that he needs to become stronger. His magic did not work, and it did not affect the enemies at all. For the hero, it was an unpleasant surprise, so he had to come up with another plan. He felt defenseless. Minato began to run quickly, dodging flying daggers and trying to find a safe place. Avoiding traps and attacks, he realized that the only chance to survive in this dangerous situation was to flee. He made a decision and decided to use lightning magic. It is a stronger and more destructive spell. The hero began gathering energy for the final strike. When he moved to a safe distance, he began preparing the spell to focus and use all his power. Now he had enough time and space to fully concentrate. Minato began drawing a magic circle to enhance his abilities and create a shield and source of power around himself. He was completely focused on the ritual. Thanks to the updates, the hero could now launch several copies of his magic at once, which significantly increased his chances of defeating enemies. Minato hoped that his magic would work, repel the attack, and stop the danger. He increasingly believed in his powers and was ready for a serious fight. Lightning began hitting the flying knives, destroying each one in turn. The energy destroyed these dangerous weapons, depriving the enemy of strength and advantage. Knives fell to the ground, neutralized by magic. The danger receded and the path forward opened. The heroes sighed with relief, for they managed to rest briefly. However, Minato was very tired after using strong magic. He felt exhaustion and weakness, but still was not going to give up and was ready to keep fighting. Now he could enter the door that was previously closed and guarded. The path to the goal finally opened. Motaro confidently took a step forward. The hero realized that reaching this place required considerable effort, and every action demanded not only strength but also courage. He hoped that all these efforts were not in vain, and something important awaited him ahead. In Minato's soul, he was ready for new challenges and discoveries. The hero managed to find 240 blue stones. This is a very unusual and impressive result. No one had ever brought so many stones before. This is a great victory for Minato. No one had ever managed to carry so much stone at once, so the hero's achievement became unique. His name began to be mentioned among other adventurers, and his success impressed everyone. Shira announces the value of the found stones, and the amount amazes everyone. This confirms that they are truly valuable and important. Minato receives good news. The main character asks to buy stones from him, hoping to receive a reward and use the money for his development. He counts on the guild's generosity. Minato has enough points to increase his rank, which gives him new opportunities and missions. This is an important stage in his adventures. He is ready for changes. Shira, who attentively follows his progress and supports him, told him about it. Her words inspire and motivate the hero. The hero asks to free up space in the backpack to be able to collect new items and resources. For a traveler, It is important to have order and organization. Thanks to the magic of the storage, Minato can instantly get the necessary things, which greatly simplifies his life and spares him the trouble of carrying ordinary equipment. This is convenient and very useful for a traveler. One day he takes out a large rifle from the storage, a rare and impressive weapon, showing his strength and the capabilities of his magical collection. Minato now has much more storage space, so traveling has become easier. Now he can take even more useful things and equipment with him. He wonders if there is a way to tame this boar. After all, despite its size, it is important to be able to control such animals and use them in battle or during travels. Soon the main hero is promoted in rank, which confirms his merits and successes. This is an important stage in his development, and Minato feels pride and satisfaction from the recognition. Now he needs to pass an exam. This is the final test before the promotion and new rank. The hero diligently prepares for this new challenge. However, now Minato is in no hurry to rush his rank, preferring first to prepare better or finish other matters, making decisions thoughtfully and carefully. The teacher is surprised by such a rapid promotion. For him, this is an unusual event that deserves special attention. The promotion in rank occurs without fulfilling the usual requirements. This is an exception to the rules, which emphasizes Minato's special merits and potential. This is the fastest promotion in the history of the training center, which causes admiration and discussion among other adventurers. The hero becomes a role model. Minato, now at rank E, is a new level that opens up more opportunities for development before him. This is a true recognition of his progress and hard work. All adventurers greet Minato, express their respect and support to him, and joy and admiration prevail around. The heroes approach the task board and choose a new mission for themselves. Ahead of them await new challenges and the opportunity to prove themselves. Everyone is watching closely which next case the hero will choose. The atmosphere is filled with anticipation and curiosity. Minato's choice becomes the center of attention. The hero takes the task sheet and prepares for a new mission. This is an important moment of beginning. He is focused and confident in himself. Harvesting seems like a simple task, but here it is important to be attentive and diligent. Minato is ready to take on this task. A young guy approached the training center. Classes and trials were constantly held here. The air was filled with a thirst for knowledge and a desire to become better, and he was determined to learn and become stronger. The hero's task has changed. Unfortunately, the previous one was not completed on time, so it came back and reminded us how important it is to be responsible and disciplined. He understood that now he would have to go through this trial again. He accepted the challenge of fate and prepared for victory. A new task was entrusted to him by a group of wise and respected people in these parts, whose opinion and experience are valued by all, showing trust in him and the importance of this matter. The hero was told that the seekers of wisdom are well known in these parts and do not give tasks just like that, so his new mission became even more important and honorable. There were two people in the group, experienced and serious researchers with whom Minato was supposed to meet and work together. The conditions of this task were as follows. It could only be abandoned after thoroughly familiarizing oneself with all the details of the test. This emphasized responsibility and duty. Minato could agree to the task or refuse after reading the conditions. His choice was important and had serious consequences. Minato was already standing by the gates leading to the testing ground, ready to take the next step in his journey. He went further into this territory, looking around carefully and preparing to meet those who seek wisdom. Two girls stood before him, seeking knowledge and waiting for him with curiosity. Their appearance commanded respect and aroused interest. Both girls were strong and independent, watching Minato closely as if assessing his readiness and intentions. Mina wants to call him a monster, but begins to stammer and blush, embarrassed or hesitant. However, she still calls him a monster, emphasizing his strangeness or power. The girl sharply raised her hand and pointed directly at the boy. A word full of surprise and fear escaped her lips. She shouted that a monster stood before her. The young man frowned, trying to understand why he was called that. Questions swirled in his mind. Where did these monsters suddenly come from? He looked around, hoping to find someone who would explain the strange words. But there was no one nearby. Silence and emptiness prevailed in the room. The girl, without averting her gaze, asked with obvious curiosity where he got so much mana. It seemed as if she saw something inaccessible to others. The character standing next to her blinked and looked confused. She did not understand what had happened and turned back to her friend Mina. At that moment, the boy realized that all the words and glances were directed exactly at him. His heart started pounding faster. Everything became clear. He understood that now he would have to explain his abilities. It turned out that the heroine had a rare gift. She could see how much mana flowed in Minato's veins. Thanks to this ability, she stood out from the others and saw what was hidden from everyone. The girl closed her eyes as if trying to concentrate or hold back excitement. Her breathing evened out, and a seriousness appeared on her face. She was preparing for the next step, which could change everything. The girl confidently said that the hero had not 5 but 6 scars. Her words sounded both like a verdict and a confession. At that moment he realized that all secrets had been revealed, and there was no longer any point in hiding. He had been exposed, and now everyone knew about his true power, which both frightened him and simultaneously gave him determination. Emmy said that great power comes from many abilities. Her voice sounded with respect and admiration. She believed that the power of Minot could change the course of their mission. The girl added that the hero was strong enough to help them in the future mission. Her words sounded with hope and confidence that together they would overcome all difficulties, and the team really needed such an ally. The girls began discussing the boy's magic, sharing guesses and impressions. Their voices rose and fell with wonder and admiration, as Minato's magic became the topic that united them. The main heroine noticed that the young man was so strong that he seemed to her a real giant. Her words conveyed both respect and a little fear, as he appeared to her a creature from another world. Manga was the brain of the team. She devised strategies and quickly understood any situation. Her mind was sharp and precise, like a blade. She always knew how to properly direct the efforts of the entire group to win. Emmy was the strength of the team, strong and determined. She protected her friends and was always ahead. Her courage and power inspired everyone around. The young man realized that he needed to earn the trust and respect of others. He understood that strength was not everything. The support of friends was also important. His journey was just beginning, and many trials awaited ahead. While the girls were whispering, the boy decided to intervene in the conversation. He seriously asked if there would be any more trials. He wanted to know what awaited ahead and how to prepare for it. The girl said that the hero needed to shoot at the target. She pointed to a toy that was attached to the wall. It was a test meant to show how skilled he was. The hero looked at the target seriously and focused, a fire of determination burning in his eyes. He was ready to demonstrate his skills and prove his strength. Slowly and confidently, he began to draw a magical circle under his feet. The light from the magic filled the room, and the girls looked at him with surprise, even shock. His power was real and very impressive. The hero concentrated and directed his magical energy at the toy rabbit standing nearby. Suddenly, the toy burst into bright flames, and the fire quickly engulfed it. Soon, only a pile of dark ash remained from the toy, slowly settling on the floor, and the smell of burnt plastic and wood lingered in the air for a long time. This was a clear sign of the hero's magical power. The hero confidently turned around and challenged the girls, waiting for their reaction. Emmy, smiling, said that this was not the target at all. The real target was a little higher. The hero was overcome with a slight feeling of shame. He had made a mistake and missed. Inside, he reproached himself for his inattention, but tried to remain confident. The main heroine noticed that his magic was very strong and unusual, as if not from this world. Minato realized that he needed to earn their trust so that they would not fear him and would accept him as one of their own. One of the girls enthusiastically said that it was amazing and very beautiful. With curiosity, she asked what spell it was, and her eyes shone with interest and admiration. She looked at him attentively, waiting for an honest answer. Minato modestly admitted that he had learned all the spells from a book he had recently read. His voice was confident, but at the same time, he was a little shy. At that moment, Mina quickly ran up to him. On her face, there was surprise and interest, as if she really wanted to learn more about his magic. Mina told him that this book was a textbook on combat magic, a rare and valuable talisman of knowledge. She was clearly fascinated and wanted to check how well he understood this topic. She began to ask the hero how far he had read the book to understand how prepared he was. Minato replied that he had read it all from beginning to end, which surprised her greatly. Mina took the book in her hands and smiled, saying that Minato had passed the exam because a person who has this book cannot be bad. For her, it was an obvious sign of trust and strength. The boy thought that his forgetfulness and the fact that he did not return the book to the library on time actually worked in his favor. It was thanks to this that he found himself in the spotlight and gained recognition. The girl thought aloud that she was going to get rid of old toys anyway, so burning this rabbit was not such a big loss for her. Her words sounded with understanding and light irony. She added that the spell was very beautiful, and she liked it. Such sincere praise warmed Minato's soul. The hero replied that everything was fine and there was no reason to worry, but the girl said that something was bothering her, and she wanted to talk about it in more detail. She admitted that there was no such spell in this book, and only a very powerful wizard could use something like that. This earned her respect, but at the same time made her a little wary. The main hero realized that the girl was wary of him again, and now he needed to show that he deserved their trust and respect. This became a new challenge for him. Emmy suggested moving on to discuss the upcoming mission, shifting the focus from magic to business. The heroes gathered in a cozy room, drank tea, and discussed the task they would have to complete. Emmy enthusiastically talked about her plans and the dangers awaiting them. The hero listened attentively but looked upset. He was thinking about something of his own and was very worried. Minato understood that the girl wanted to go to unknown ruins where many dangers lurk. For such a journey, she definitely needed strong mages, and Minato fully agreed with this. At that moment, Mayena was silent, calmly pouring tea and attentively listening to the conversation. Her calmness only emphasized the feverish argument, as if she were considering every word. Looking at the teapot, the hero pondered his feelings. It was something between excitement and fear. Fear of the unknown and the desire to prove to himself that he could. He believed that they really needed to embark on this journey. Although it would be quite difficult, serious trials awaited them. Minato said that he has not yet decided whether to join them, reserving the right to choose. The girls were clearly surprised by Monato's words. No one expected him to doubt his own abilities so much. The hero explained that the task description clearly stated he had the right to refuse, so he initially wanted to think everything over carefully. The girls were a bit upset because they hoped to see a more decisive and brave ally nearby. Mena showed him what reward could be obtained for completing this task. These figures were truly impressive and promised a good profit. Minato really believed that this proposal was very advantageous and worthy of serious attention, especially considering all the risks and efforts. The heroine added that initially they planned to hire 10 people for this task to make everything as safe and efficient as possible. Hearing this, Emmy said that everything was going exactly as planned, which confirms that they had prepared for the quest seriously and thoughtfully. Minato inquired what exactly the phrase, according to the initial plan, meant, and whether the girls really wanted to hire exactly 9 people, considering his participation. Mena seriously replied that she was counting on a large team but could not find enough worthy people. She added that she saw in this young man a strength greater than that of 10 people together, so perhaps they would not need help. The girls looked attentively at the hero, as if trying to look into his soul and understand his true intentions. The man admitted that the offer was very tempting, and after many years of routine office work, he felt real satisfaction from the opportunity to change his life. He asked how dangerous this mission would be, trying to realistically assess all possible risks and prepare for future trials. The girls looked at him in surprise. They did not expect such a direct and serious question, and it intrigued them a little. One of them smiled and said, "There is always a bit of danger in adventures. It is the risk that adds drive and makes events unexpected." Minato carefully watched the girls and clearly felt that before him were true experienced adventurers. In their looks, movements, and words one could see confidence, life experience, and firmness of character. The heroines asked if they understood him correctly, if they saw his true character and intentions. They also explained to him that if the situation became too dangerous, he could always escape without unnecessary risk to himself. Minato sat calmly, accepting that now he could choose and decide for himself. He understood that the responsibility was on him, but also knew that no one would force him to take a risk he did not want. He began to think that the life of an adventurer looked very free and unpredictable. Taking a mug, he took a sip and said that if it were dangerous, he would simply run away, which left the girls surprised. Then he smiled mysteriously, and that puzzled them even more. Minato said that he was looking forward to working together in adventures. The girls began to discuss their special skills, rejoicing in the upcoming challenges. The night before departure was filled with excitement. The hero could not fall asleep. His thoughts gave him no peace. They both excited and worried him. Minato got out of bed, sat at the table, and pondered, trying to sort out his feelings, fears, and hopes that were raging inside him. He realized that he no longer wanted to be the one who is protected. He wanted to become a strong and equal member of the team to help the common cause. Minato understood that half of the loot would go to him, but to get his share, he had to make maximum effort and show everything he was capable of. He leaned back in the chair and yawned. The day was long and he was tired, but inside him still burned desire and determination. The hero realized that the better he mastered spells, the more he understood how they worked. Now he wanted to invent his own powerful offensive spell, something truly unique and effective. His enthusiasm only grew, and he decided to devote all his energy and time to this matter, sparing no effort. He worked hard until late at night and did not even notice how quickly time passed, immersing himself in complex formulas and amazing experiments. After some time, the spell was ready. It turned out to be complex and very powerful. It contained a force capable of changing the course of the battle. The main hero realized that this spell would require 80% of his mana, and he pondered how dangerous this was and what it could lead to. He understood that if the magic got out of control, It could harm not only the enemies, but also all his own, destroying everything around. This made him take magic even more seriously. A sly smile appeared on his face. It seemed the risk was worth it. Closing his little book, Minato decided to leave this spell for later. He would still need time to use it. The hero could not find his comrades and admitted that it was difficult for him to go with them. He felt a little insecure and overwhelmed. Suddenly he heard the noise of battle and saw the girls fighting the monster. The courage and strength of the girls impressed Minato. Mena told her ally that the monster's magic was in its horns, and that this was its weak spot and the key to victory. Emi immediately rushed into battle with the monster, without any hesitation and with great courage. The hero stood with his mouth open, watching in amazement as the girl acted confidently. The girls informed Minato that they had dealt with the monster on their own, and for a moment this made him feel unnecessary in the team. Holding the defeated monster in her hands, Emi confidently said that although they managed on their own, Minato's task was to destroy local monsters and protect them. This gave the boy confidence and helped him understand his true role. After this, the heroes decided to descend the huge spiral stairs down to reach a new level of trials and adventures. The girls moved here easily and confidently, and Minato immediately noticed this. He realized that they were true professionals with great experience. Minato immediately noticed that they moved not like novices from mania, but like true experienced adventurers. This caused in him sincere respect and even admiration for their skill and bravery. Emi was impressed by the size of this place. The ruins turned out to be much larger and more impressive than she could have imagined at first. For all the heroes, these were the first such large ruins, which simultaneously caused both admiration and anxiety before the unknown. The entrance to these ruins was almost completely overgrown with dense and impassable vegetation. And to get inside, one needed not only cleverness but also experience in exploring such dangerous places. The hero with a slight smile asked Mina if one needed to be very skillful and masterful to find such a place. Mina replied that it was actually Emi's merit. The girl explained that she was just walking nearby and accidentally stumbled upon these ruins, which confirmed her unusual, and perhaps even magical, abilities to find places where secrets and adventures are hidden. Later, the heroes realized that Emi was truly special. She has unique abilities and talents that distinguish her from others and make her indispensable to the team. At that moment, Emi suddenly felt a pleasant, mysterious aroma that seemed to lead her forward, igniting curiosity and the desire to learn more. Feeling this scent, she quickly found some treasure, an item that immediately caught her attention. She took the find into her hands, feeling excitement and anticipation of new discoveries. Emi carefully examined everything around, feeling that there was something important and special here, as if she were a true treasure hunter. Her sharp sense of smell and sensitivity always helped her stay one step ahead. The hero realized that even if he put in all his efforts and searched carefully, he would not find anything here on his own without the support of friends or special skills. He remembered their first meeting when Amy carefully sniffed him. At that time it seemed strange and even funny, but now he understood how important and symbolic it was. Minato asked her if she had found those ruins she showed last time, also thanks to her ability to sense smells and navigate. Amy nodded, confirming that she really uses this unusual ability to find the right places and treasures among the ruins. The hero realized that he must believe in this himself and decided to use such abilities for the next searches. He said that there are many precious magical stones in the ruins, but the monsters there are very dangerous too. The heroine replied that the most valuable are the blue stones, and thanked the hero for the dinner. Mina asked why Amy started sniffing him then. The hero decided not to say that there were 240 stones. He did not want to spoil the mood and create unnecessary problems. The girls thanked him for sharing lunch with Amy, showing care and kindness. Soon the heroes found a door behind which an evil and heavy energy was felt. This caused them anxiety and increased tension, hinting at future trials. They realized that they had found exactly what they were looking for, and this discovery inspired them and gave them strength to move forward despite the danger. Minato realized that he had no right to make a mistake. The success of the whole team and the future of the collective now depended on his actions. Mena began to carefully open the door, and Minato thought that the sooner they dealt with it, the sooner he could finally go home and rest after all the hardships. Mena explained that the only way to defeat the golem is to destroy its core, which is hidden inside its strong stone armor. She warned her comrades that the battle would be difficult. The golem's body was completely protected by strong stone armor, so ordinary weapons could not harm it. The monster itself was a huge golem, a very strong and resilient creature that could inflict incredibly severe damage on its enemies. Amini was tasked with distracting the golem. She had to maneuver and draw the monster's attention to herself so that other team members could attack its weak spot. Emmy successfully did this, skillfully dodging blows, and the monster focused its attention on her, giving the team a chance to use this opportunity. This tactic worked very well against creatures without developed intelligence. The golem acted on instincts, reacting to movements and sounds, so it was easy to distract. The golem became even angrier and tried to hit Emmy, swinging its huge arms, but the girl reacted quickly and easily dodged its strikes. While Emmy distracted the monster, the girl with Minato managed to briefly talk about her excellent reflexes and agility, emphasizing that such abilities are very important in fighting such strong opponents. At that moment, Mina used her magical sight, a special ability to see hidden things and weak spots, and began searching for the golem's core inside the stone armor. She quickly found out where the core was, the main part which, if destroyed, could defeat the golem. The main heroine boldly rushed into battle with the monster, aiming directly at the golem's weak spot. Her attack succeeded. She hit the target precisely and dealt noticeable damage. Minato, observing Emi's actions, noticed that her magic was actually quite weak compared to the powers needed to destroy such a strong creature as the golem. To help her and strengthen the attack, Minato decided to use his magic. He created a fireball and launched it directly at the monster. Soon both heroes began casting spells simultaneously. Emmy distracted the enemy and dealt blows, while Minato enhanced their magic. Thanks to their teamwork, each attack became even stronger. Thanks to coordinated work, strong spells and strikes were able to simply smash the golem. Its stone armor cracked and crumbled, and the monster itself was completely destroyed. After the victory, Mina addressed the young man, who, not hiding his enthusiasm, said that he always gives his all in battle, regardless of the circumstances. The hero added that his task was to replace 10 wizards at once who were supposed to be here according to the plan and protect this place from monsters. At that moment, the girl thought that the boy had almost destroyed the golem with the first strike. His magic was so strong and precise. At the same time, Minato believed that Manam might both exaggerate and underestimate his abilities, thinking he would not cope with the task. Realizing that the battle was not over yet and the enemy could still be dangerous, Minato decided to use an even more powerful spell to finally defeat the monster and protect his friends. Emmy saw nothing through the thick smoke rising after the strong explosions and magical attacks. Everything around seemed blurred and unclear, adding anxiety and fatigue to the team. Visibility was almost none, and the heroine had to rely only on hearing and intuition. Minato was so captivated by the battle and the desire to destroy the golem that he delivered 10 powerful blows in a row. His magic was focused and very strong. He continued to speak confidently and decisively, stating that he always gives his all in every fight and does not intend to lessen the strength of his attacks, regardless of the circumstances. At that moment, the heroine shouted that the explosions were so loud that her ears already hurt, and the noise and pressure of magic prevented her from concentrating and caused severe discomfort. She quickly turned around and with surprise and slight fear noticed that the golem was no longer there. The huge monster, with which a fierce battle had just taken place, disappeared into thick smoke and dust. Her ally Mina explained that what they see now is all that remains of the golem after their joint actions and powerful attacks. It was a vivid proof of their team's strength and their victory. I did not immediately realize that he had probably overdone the strength of his attacks, and although it was effective, it scared the girls and created additional tension. He asked the girls if he had completed his task, wanted to make sure that he did everything correctly and successfully. The girls looked at him with surprise and a bit of confusion, probably not used to such confident and persistent behavior during the match. Minato calmly said that now they just need to return to the guild. The task is completed, so they can move on. Mena and Emmy gaped in astonishment. They simply could not believe how calm and confident he behaved after such a hard battle. Minato did not pay attention to their reactions, but simply rejoiced that the work was finally completed, and now it was possible to move on to the next stage. The girls, with slight regret and uncertainty, asked if they could follow him because they wanted to stay close and continue learning under his guidance. At that moment, Minato realized that for them, he had become a person they could truly rely on, which gave him confidence in himself and a sense of responsibility for the team and its future. Finally, the heroes reached the destination, as Emmy, who was carefully watching the landmarks, reported. Minot had a sore throat, but he still could not understand exactly where to look for the treasure among the surrounding ruins and thickets. He carefully examined everything, but quickly realized that he could not handle the task alone. Without hints and experience, searching was very difficult. Minato wondered if he had developed the ability to find treasures. He smelled a strange scent that seemed important and unusual to him, but it turned out to be the smell of food, which meant it was lunchtime, and all our heroes relaxed a bit. Previously, Minato could only afford simple supermarket meals, so he greatly appreciated the food his friends prepared. Starting to eat, he was surprised to notice that the meat was simply perfect, tasty and filling, something he hadn't tasted in a long time. Mina explained that they were eating frogs that Minato had specially caught for them, adding a bit of the romance of real hunting to the journey. The young man realized that it wasn't so important which animal he caught. The main thing was that the dish was delicious and helped him restore his strength. During this time, the guys truly became a cohesive team, learning to support each other and help in any situation. Mina advised Minato to protect Emi so that she could calmly search for treasures and useful items among the ruins. At the same time, the girl began to look at her ally with admiration, noticing his strength, skills, and rich combat experience, which inspired her and gave her confidence. Minato asked with interest how far they planned to go today, and what their nearest plans for the expedition were, to better understand the tasks ahead. The girl replied that much depended on Emi's intuition. She was the first to sense danger and decide where to move next, leading the team in difficult situations. After a short conversation, everyone decided to walk a little more today and cover the rest tomorrow, so as not to rush and avoid risks in the difficult terrain. Emi placed her plate down, and it turned out that she had eaten the entire pot of food. This greatly surprised and amused the whole team, and everyone good-naturedly laughed and joked about it. The girl pondered, focusing on future tasks and possible difficulties that might arise. Finally, she confidently showed where they should move next and warned that a very strong enemy might appear on this path, for which they needed to be prepared. Minato asked how powerful this group would be, but Emi admitted that she did not know for sure. Much would depend on the circumstances and conditions of the encounter itself. She smiled and said that the air was so fragrant and fresh, as if nature itself was calling them to action. After that, she briskly ran forward, leading the team to the next challenge. Mina immediately realized that the enemy guarding the treasure was very strong and could become a serious threat to the entire team. It was clear that he was protecting a valuable and intact treasure, so the battle promised to be difficult. She asked Minato if he was ready to fight such a strong enemy. The hero confidently replied that if the opponent was equal to him in strength, he would manage and not let the team down. At that moment, Emi was surprised to see that the hero had already defeated many enemies, and his mana reserve had not even decreased. Mina explained that Minato had a lot of mana, and even after the battle it had decreased only slightly. He still had enough strength. The hero understood that nothing could be hidden from her. The girl added that the work of an adventurer was not only about searching for valuable treasures, but also about the ability to timely assess the situation. If the danger became too great, a difficult decision would have to be made. In that case, they would have to retreat and save themselves to preserve their strength and lives. This was an important rule that none of them intended to break. The hero agreed with this plan, and in a moment Emi ran forward to survey the area and find a shelter. Soon she came across a magical storage where valuable items and treasures could be kept, protected from any external influences. Emi asked Minato if he still had space in the spatial storage to put the found items. She threw him a magical item that glowed softly in the air, as if it had its own will. The young man caught the magical items one after another, as if it were all well directed. He showed dexterity and concentration. Each item fell precisely into his hands, as if without any mistake. The young man carefully examined one of the items he found, and suddenly he was overwhelmed by a strange feeling of déjà vu. This item seemed very familiar to him, as if he had seen it before, possibly even in a past life. At that moment, Mina approached him quite closely, and, to avoid attracting the attention of others, quietly, almost in a whisper, said that she was holding a magical transmitter. Mina began to explain in detail that she knew everything about this artifact, its history, how it was created, how it works, and how rare it is among magical items. She emphasized that a similar artifact costs a lot of money, because such items are very rare, which is why they are expensive and desirable on the magical item market. Hearing this, the hero realized that half of the profit from selling this transmitter would go to him. The hero carefully examined the device and thought that it really did resemble a communication tool. Recalling the past, he realized that it was thanks to this device that he once learned combat magic. He also understood that this device was much more powerful and multifunctional than an ordinary transmitter. Its capabilities went far beyond simple message transmission, and that was why it was so valuable. Minato showed this valuable device to Mina, and she was truly surprised to see it with her own eyes. Her eyes lit up with admiration and wonder. Mina looked at the thing in Emi's hand with disapproval and said it was just junk, nothing valuable and not even worth attention. She called Emi closer and strictly told her not to pick up such trifles anymore. It was unimportant and only distracted from matters. The girl politely apologized for the mistake and quickly went to throw the thing away. But as soon as Emi discarded the item, Minato sharply shouted, ordering her to stop. With a quick movement, he caught the object in the air, although he was warned it was pointless. Minato said he wanted to try experimenting with it. He pressed on the object, but nothing happened. No flashes, sounds, or changes. The hero thought the device was unlikely broken and decided to try infusing it with some mana. Magical energy that can activate hidden mechanisms. Mina looked at him in surprise. She did not even suspect that mana could be transferred to objects and did not know about such magical tricks. Minato realized that even experienced experts of ancient ruins did not know much, and the knowledge gap was very large. Therefore, he decided not to rely on others' help and explain everything himself. Suddenly, Emi said they needed to return. Her voice became anxious, as if she noticed something but could not say exactly what. The boys did not understand what exactly happened and did not ask questions. Emi admitted that she herself did not know what had occurred, but felt she needed to leave. She rushed forward and ran down the right tunnel, and everyone else immediately followed her. They rushed quickly, and the door behind slammed shut, as if the ruins themselves wanted to cut off their way back. The heroes barely managed to make it and slipped through the door that was already almost closing. They noticed with horror that the back exit was also closed, like all the other passages. It was as if they were locked inside. It is clear that this strange locking system is on every door in the ancient ruins, and it does not allow people to exit the same way. In panic, Emi turned to Minato and asked if he could break the door using magic. The hero immediately began to cast a spell, focusing all his strength and mana to break the barrier. But Minato quickly realized that his magic did not work. The doors turned out to be very resistant to magic, as if made from a special material or protected by ancient spells. At the most tense moment, Mai suddenly lost consciousness and fell onto the cold stone floor. The boys were frightened and began to worry about her. It seemed she would not regain consciousness for a long time. Suddenly, Mina opened her eyes and with a serious look warned everyone to prepare to defend themselves. Minato instantly took up defense and created a strong magical barrier to protect the girls from any threat. The walls around them began to crack and crumble to dust, and because of this destruction, a new passage opened before them. Emi immediately noticed something strange ahead. It was some kind of device, a mechanism unfamiliar to them until that moment. The heroes stopped and began to carefully observe the object, as the thick fog started to dissipate, adding even more mystery and anticipation to this moment. Suddenly, a huge monster flew out from behind the machine, a mechanical creature whose appearance sent chills down the spine. Usually, the adventurer's task was to find valuable treasures and avoid dangers. If the threat became too serious, they would immediately run away. But now, a big question arose. How exactly to escape? From clouds of acrid smoke and ash suddenly burst a mechanical dragon. Its body was made of black metal and magical energy, and its titanic wings spread wide. It blocked the sun, and sharp fangs gleamed in its jaws. The dragon opened its mouth threateningly. Minato realized that he had finally met it. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Minato knew that the battle with the dragon would take place right here. The machine suddenly raised its tail, covered with shiny scales that reflected in the twilight. Under the scales, muscles played so strong that a single strike could break bones. The boy's eyes opened wide when he saw the approaching danger. He did not expect the machine to press so hard. It surprised him but did not confuse him. He was ready for this because he was always ready for danger. He sharply pushed away the girl standing nearby, trying to help her. He was worried about her. The only thing he wanted was for none of his friends to get hurt now. They would only get in his way. Emi sharply called his boy because she did not want to expose him to danger. She was more worried about his life than her own. At that moment, her heart tightened with fear for the boy. The dragon attacked, swinging its tail with all its might. Chaos and destruction reigned around. It was not going to spare anyone. Its goal was one: to destroy everything around, including the uninvited guests before it. Monedo descended. The machine struck so hard that the ground beneath the boy crumbled. The girl opened her eyes in surprise. The boy was in great danger, so they urgently needed to come up with something. The boy fell to the ground. He lay there, wounded and exhausted. The blow hit his head hard, and for a moment he felt very ill, and he lay still for a few more seconds, trying to regain consciousness. The dragon tried to attack again, opening its jaws wide. Monato did not have time to dodge, so the machine's strong blow threw him against the wall. Monato hit his head again, and blood slowly ran down his face. The boy was loudly called. The girls were very worried about him, ready to protect him even at the cost of their own lives. Such a scene frightened them greatly, as the boy was seriously injured, and they were very upset about it. Lying on the ground, the boy realizes that it is good that in his past life a magical machine ran over him. He coughed and spat out some blood. The blow was very strong, and there was a ringing in his ears. Thanks to this, He is able to think clearly, even in a shocking situation. He understands that first of all he needs to strengthen his magic, and then thoughts begin to appear in his head about how to save himself and the girls. The boy looked at the dragon and noticed that the machine was completely focused on him. He liked this, and several magical circles appeared from his hands. The boy hoped that the girls had already managed to escape. Minato used the enhanced fireball magic. Several shots flew straight at the dragon. They exploded right on its metal skin, and definitely left traces of destruction. The boy looks sternly at the smoke cloud in which the dragon hid. He hopes that his magic worked. He carefully watches as the fog slowly disperses and gradually reveals the silhouette of the dragon. From a large cloud of dust appeared the dragon's head. It was whole and undamaged. The metal shone, and there was not a single scratch or trace from the recent explosion. Minato looked at the machine and realized that his attack did not work. He did not want to believe it. Opened his eyes wide, hoped for his strength, but it did not work. For the boy, this was a real shock. The boy wipes his face and realizes that this monster is much stronger than the columns he is heading to. Suddenly, someone loudly calls his name. In this voice there is anxiety and a desire to help the boy. He turned his head and saw the girls who were supposed to leave, but they stood firmly in place. They did not even think about leaving. Determination to help and readiness for any difficulties were written on their faces. Minato wonders why they did not leave such a dangerous place. Earlier he had already ordered them to go, but they stayed in place, did not leave it, and did not run away. On the contrary, they were ready to help. Or adventurers do not value their lives at all. The boy looks more closely at the dragon. It has sensors that can see even through walls, and the dragon just deflected a projectile that could destroy any monster. The boy understands that there is no way out. Otherwise, everyone will die. Someone shouted that they will definitely come up with something. In such a situation, it was necessary to act immediately. Otherwise, all three could suffer, or even worse. Amy proudly holds some ball in her hand and says that this thing is very expensive. The boy wonders if she really intends to defeat him with this ball, and is curious about what that strange thing on her belt is. Suddenly, the girl rushed forward, straight at the dragon, ready to attack. Determination shone in her eyes. She was fully prepared to protect the boy and fight the dragon. She was going to prove to this machine who is stronger here. Minato looked at the device that allowed her to fly and thought it was incredible. She saw something like this for the first time and was very impressed to see such an amazing thing. Amy quickly flies around the dragon, and the machine tries to follow her, turning its head in circles. The boy understands that the dragon is completely confused and is trying hard not to lose sight of the girl, but the mechanical net cannot keep up. Mina ran closer, seeing a lot of blood on the boy's face, and asked if he could fight. He replied that he was fine and asked her not to worry. While the boy was drinking the potion, he asked how the girl fought with that strange glowing thing. It was really important to him. Sincere interest was visible in his eyes. Amy shouted that she was fine, and Mina decided to explain how it all works. The boys watched with interest, and Mina did not mind explaining everything to them. The girl explained that this is a common magical weapon for provocation. It glows so that demons cannot resist it. The dragon definitely will not be able to take its eyes off the girl who flies quickly and loudly nearby. Minato was surprised and asked again, "Is that all?" Mina replied that yes, that was all. This small device does nothing special. Everything turned out to be much simpler than he thought. Emi shouted loudly and sharply at Minato. She was yelling at the top of her voice because she was flying high there next to the dragon and distracting its attention to herself. The girl began to pose beautifully in the air and said she would do everything possible to anger the dragon and promised to do it instantly. She is happy because she is confident that she will succeed. Minato does not understand why she says this. The character of this girl impresses him. She constantly surprises him. Her style of speaking always surprises everyone around. Emi saw that even this boy's enhanced magic did not help, and he himself did not know which of his spells would work and which would not. The girl continued to fly, irritating the dragon. The boy thought and realized that he had an idea that could help them in this difficult situation. Now it was worth using all his thoughts. Anything could come in handy. He came up with it only last night, as funny as it sounded, and only then did it occur to him. Now he decided to share this strange idea with the girls, hoping they would understand him. Minato suddenly changed his mind, realizing that if he used it now, they themselves would get caught in the blast and die. It was a very risky and ambiguous plan, but still worth trying. Mena shouted sharply to Emi. Her voice was full of wild fear and anxiety for the girl above. The dragon gathered all its strength to create a large fireball ready to attack the girl flying nearby. The boy was surprised that it also began to use fire. The ball suddenly exploded, smoke and dust appeared around, and a bright, dangerous light blinded everything around. Nothing was visible behind it, but gradually the fog began to dissipate, slowly revealing the picture hidden behind it. The girl was hit, and she quickly flew away from the huge ball, shouting that all this was unfair. She was very frightened by the dragon's unexpected reaction, but now she was no longer panicking. Suddenly, a bunch of identical fireballs appeared around. They hit Emmy, and she flew away in panic, trying to save herself. Minato realizes that she is too fast. Mina grabbed the boy by the sleeve and called him to get his attention. She shared that she considers this boy incredible because he managed to act at the moment when she was completely confused. She admired his skills. Mena added that he did it with the same magic he used to defeat the golem, and suggested using it against the dragon. She was confident in his strength and abilities. Minato realizes that now everything is different than before. Back then he couldn't even wound the dragon, let alone destroy it. He approaches Mina, says he can find her weak spots thanks to his magical ability, but she replies that his magic is too powerful. Mena became embarrassed and started saying that if it helps the boy, then... Minato realized that everything was repeating again. He felt very uncomfortable because of the girl's behavior around him. Emmy loudly asks the boy to make a mess here. The boy thought that thoughtless use of force could be dangerous now, but the girl confidently insisted on her point. Mina said something about needing to help the boy. Minato thought about the girl who seemed to have escaped from reality. He felt sorry for his team. One wants to destroy everything, and the other almost fainted from panic. The boy seriously thought, maybe the end of the world is very close. After all, in this state, they definitely cannot defeat the huge mechanical dragon flying nearby and threateningly looming. The dragon widely opened its mouth, preparing to shoot a huge fireball. This fireball shone brightly and was so powerful that it could destroy everything around. Emmy was running from its blows and begged the boy to hurry. She panicked more and more because the boy still did nothing, and the girl was in serious danger. Minato closed her eyes and realized that she could not defeat the dragon. She assessed her strength and understood. Her abilities were definitely insufficient to cope with this. The boy realized that if the fire shells do not harm the dragon, it is urgent to come up with something. Otherwise, when the dragon attacks again, everything around will be destroyed, and they will not survive this battle. He raised his hand up, creating numerous magical circles. He understood. If this does not work now, it will be his last fight, so he must act quickly. But Minato understands that he still has to try. Otherwise, they will get into even greater danger, and he definitely does not need extra problems right now. He tried again to use the enhanced fireball. The power flared up in his hand again. He wanted to see if he could destroy the giant mechanical dragon with it. Each magic circle created a huge fireball, preparing to attack. From these balls, a bright and dangerous light flared up in the room, seeming ready to destroy everything around. Instantly, all the bullets began to explode simultaneously, trying to hit the huge dragon. Explosions echoed from everywhere. After that, powerful gusts of wind and clouds of dust covered the entire room. Mina noticed that it was a massive attack from all sides and was very surprised. She was frightened by such a number of dangerous explosions nearby. So many fireballs could scare anyone. The boy looked sternly at the dragon he was striking with his blows. He really hoped it would work. A strong hope for the success of his plan shone in his eyes. He believed. The car drove out from under the smoke that rose after the attack. It remained intact and unnoticed. The car took off into the air. The wings were unharmed. There was not a single scratch. The vehicle was completely undamaged. Manik was shocked and covered her mouth with her hand. Even this attack did not help. The boy sharply interrupted her, responding in denial. He could not believe it, as it was one of his strongest attacks. He explained that this attack was necessary to find the weak spot. Minato added that this weak spot is a special channel on his neck that twists and coils. The boy is glad they managed to find it quickly. He realized that he needed to strike exactly at this spot, and gathered all his strength to deliver a blow to the right point on the dragon's neck. The only thing that could counter magic was lightning magic. He was sure that it would definitely work. It remained his last hope for victory over the machine. And with the help of another magic, it would be very convenient to split the surface of the dragon. Minato's eyes widened. He realized that it worked. The lightning magic took effect, and was able to break the shield on the dragon's back. He hit the target, and the desired spot began to crumble into pieces. Inside the dragon, wires and small parts were revealed, as if they themselves were pulling him in so that he could break them and defeat the dragon. But suddenly the dragon gathered its strength. The boy was surprised. It turned out that everything was in vain. The mechanism rose into the air again with even greater force and threatened to take revenge on the team for the wounds received. Minato understands that everything will end badly. The dragon raised its huge maw very close, as if it was about to grab someone present with its metal teeth. To remove this metal, ordinary enhanced magic will not help. Something more is needed. Minato took out a small notebook and realized that they had no choice but to use this magic. He hoped for luck to survive. Gathering all his strength, he prepared for a new attack. The huge machine opened its maw again, preparing to release an even bigger fireball. Bright flames filled the room with light and noticeably warmed the air. The dragon was about to release it and destroy everyone around. Emmy loudly asked why the dragon was aiming exactly at her, and sharply flew aside again so that the machine would not have time to aim and shoot. The girl tried to fly as fast as possible. Suddenly, the boy understood something. This discovery surprised him greatly. His eyes widened in surprise. The boy was surprised that the dragon attacked Emmy and not him, although he was much more dangerous. It seemed very strange and illogical to him, since the boy was much more dangerous than the girl. The charms of this magical item turned out to be more powerful than the boy expected. It perfectly lured the dragon. The dragon did not even notice that the boy was much stronger, because it was chasing the girl the whole time. Suddenly, a large part of the building collapsed, but she quickly created a protective circle that saved the boy from the impact. She was very scared, but glad she managed to save him. The boy wondered if this was the protective magic of this world and sincerely thanked the girl. He was truly grateful to her for saving his life. Did this battle partially destroy the sturdy building? Through the debris, the boy lost sight of the mechanical dragon. His eyes wide open, he quickly looked around, trying to find the dragon he had not seen for some time. Minato placed his hands on his hips and sighed heavily. The situation was truly difficult. The boy was very tired and simply hoped to get out of here alive. He thought he would not cope and would burn to ashes, but everything happened differently. He was alive. The girls stayed nearby. Everyone was healthy, and it was wonderful. He was not allowed to perform a heroic deed. He forgot how to behave in such a situation. At this unfortunate moment, his memory failed him. I forgot that people need to be trusted. Trust is like a simple, yet at the same time very complex thing. Minato sharply turns to Mina with a bright smile. This soft smile did not bode well at all. In his mind, a dangerous plan was born, known only to himself. The boy said that magic really exists, thanks to which they can win. The girl blushed and joked that the boy looks as if he is plotting something. Minato explained with the same smile that he would need help. The girl asked confusedly if it was really worth doing. His smile was very serious and businesslike. The boy concluded that there was no time for quarrels and sharply called Emmy. Mina also sharply asked why all these talks, but the boy no longer listened to her. He wanted to act on his plan as quickly as possible. The girl loudly asked what they wanted from her. It seemed that Emmy's magic in her device was almost gone. She no longer flew as boldly and high as at the beginning of the battle. Minato said that the dragon most likely does not like this girl very much and will ask her to climb as high as possible. Then you need to throw the ball and fly to them at full speed. The girl was very surprised by such a plan. Mina was also surprised and asked what the boy was thinking. Minato showed her something. A small magical ball appeared in his hand, perfectly fitting in the palm. This small ball began to grow rapidly, and a large protective sphere appeared around the pair, creating such a strong shield that even the mechanical dragon could not pierce it. Mina smiled and asked what kind of amazing magic it was. She said it looked very beautiful, and added that she was seeing such a spell for the first time. For her, it was a true miracle, something completely new that she had never seen before. The girl wanted to say something else, but the boy interrupted her and handed her the magic circle that holds the shield. Now their safety depended on her. Without hesitation, he turned around and walked away from the girl, lost in thought about other matters. The boy passed the circle to the girl. Now it is under her protection, and all responsibility shifts to her. Suddenly, an unknown force began to press hard on Mina's body. She became soft like jelly and trembled as if she could not contain this force within herself. The girl trembled violently and asked the boy to wait because the magic was still being absorbed. Minato replied that everything was fine, but suddenly noticed something and focused completely on it. Mina is not very good at using protective magic, but if a boy does it, the protection will become stronger and consume less energy. He placed his hand on the notebook and already knew the time had come. Determination blazed in his eyes. He gathered all his strength to win. He was determined to destroy the mechanical dragon. Using magic inside walls that repel it to release this weak magic sounds very cool, but for all three it was still life-threatening. Do not get close to their thing. He cast a protective spell on Mina so that the consequences would not affect her. He did not care about himself. He was ready to protect the girl even at the cost of his own life. He could not allow her to be harmed. The boy understood that it would have been better to wait, but there is no time left. Somewhere above, Emmy is shouting loudly. She does not like at all that the dragon almost grabbed her with its claws. The boy saw that the dragon flew high into the sky. I mean, the command to act should have been given to Emi immediately, because there was no time to waste. It was necessary to attack as quickly as possible, otherwise the danger would only increase. The girl sharply turned to the boy, grabbed him, and threw the ball with all her strength, shouting loudly. She was furious at the dragon and was ready to strangle it with her bare hands. Minato sat down on the ground and began to cast a spell. A magical circle appeared around him, which began to expand rapidly, filling the entire surrounding space. Under the dragon summoned by the boy, a huge magical circle suddenly appeared. It shone brightly and threatened to destroy everything above. The magical circle shone. Minato realized that he had created truly wild magic, but did not intend to stop. It was already too late to retreat. There was no way back. To fill such a circle with magic requires a lot of time. It is important to try hard and not make mistakes here because this is a very serious matter. The boy needed to simplify everything. His attributes were greatly weakened, and if mana consumption is not taken into account, only 8% of the total power goes to magic. Perhaps he quickly flew up to them and asked to be led into the protective circle. The dragon was approaching closer and closer to the great magical circle, as if some invisible force was forcing it to head straight to the very center. Minato understood that he is expending his strength too quickly. It was dangerous and could end badly for him. He has to try very hard not to make a mistake. He realizes that something urgent must be done, otherwise he will not withstand such pressure. The boy began to cast a spell to find where his target was, and the magical sphere lit up even brighter, emitting a dangerous light ready to destroy the one he had chosen. A huge amount of dark energy began to gather very quickly in one place. Powerful streams rushed in one direction, straight to the dragon, completely enveloping it and hiding it from prying eyes. A huge sphere of dark energy completely surrounds the mechanical dragon, covering it with a threatening wave and is about to destroy everything inside. Suddenly, a bright flash of light appeared, which concealed everything around. It blinded everyone nearby with its dazzling brightness. A broken dragon appeared. Almost all parts were destroyed, and everything inside was visible. The machine became weak and could not move. It could no longer attack. The boy smiled, thinking about his future victory. Now he was sure. His plan would work. A spark of determination lit up in his eyes again. He was ready to attack. He placed his hands on the magical circle with new energy, and it lit up again with bright light, illuminating everything around this group of people. The energy began to gather again around the dragon, ready to repeat what had already happened, to tear it into small pieces to finally finish off this giant monster. It was quiet outside. Everything was as usual. Birds were singing, grass was growing. But suddenly from the building, which stood in complete silence, destructive light flashed like lightning. A large hole appeared in the ceiling. Against its background, a mechanical dragon was slowly dying. Parts were falling off it. There was nothing left to hold on to. The dragon weakened and completely broke down. The machine parts began to fall rapidly downwards, destroying everything in their path. They were very large and crushed everything they hit upon falling. The leader shouted in panic that a huge part was falling right on them, and ordered to immediately change the protective spell. The boy instantly strengthened the magical shield and was able to save everyone from the impact of the largest fragment left after the dragon. He smiled, glad that everything worked out. Now they could relax. They had defeated the dragon. Despite all the difficulties, they succeeded. The boy finally relaxed as they managed to escape, and he was already on the verge of exhaustion. Emmy was very worried about him because he had put in so much effort that now he could barely stand. Suddenly, under the team's feet, the floor began to slowly sink. Large slabs swayed and fell down, trying to drag everyone standing on them along. All three flew down into the void. No one understood anything. Everyone was stunned, only wide-eyed and falling straight down like heavy stones thrown into water. The boy opened his eyes and realized that both girls had fallen right on him. He felt it became hard to breathe from their weight. There were two of them, so the load on his back was too great for an ordinary person. As it turned out, there were several more floors under the building, so escaping was impossible. The building itself was very strong. Inside it had many floors and it was impossible to destroy. He caused a panic and began to ask if that boy knew what kind of magic it was. The boy was glad because everyone was fine, all were alive and unharmed, so he was able to breathe a sigh of relief. The most important thing was that everyone survived. Minato said that he came up with this attack only yesterday. The girl was surprised. He added that he was sure of it, because it was his first used magic. The girl was even more surprised. The boy suggests moving on because they have been sitting here for a long time. Emmy, however, went further into her thoughts and said that there were quite good planets here. She is very curious about what exactly is inside the building they destroyed with such difficulty. The boy suddenly turned to her and said that it was already time for them to go, but suddenly he did not see the girl. She had disappeared from his sight. It turned out that she had already gone further inside the building. This scared the boy very much because they were here for the first time, and anything could have happened to her. The girl said that there is something special inside and hinted that Mina and Minato should come themselves and see it with their own eyes. She could not describe everything in words. It was better for them to see it themselves. She added that it was something grandiose, simply an incredible spectacle, and she really wanted to show it to her friends. The boy cautiously moved forward toward the girl. He walked very carefully, for in the darkness of this strange building, where the heroes had nearly perished, anything could be hiding. Before them opened a huge laboratory that impressed with its size. Inside stood giant flasks, much larger than a person. Everything looked eerie and could scare anyone. The girl asked Minato what it was. She was very curious, but she could only turn to him. To her, he was the smartest person in the world. Ima called it Deus Ex Machina, and asked again, "What is it?" The boy just silently looked around with wide-open eyes. He had never seen anything like this before, and was very surprised by what appeared before him. In front of them stood a large flask with an unknown liquid inside. This strange, huge flask caused only goosebumps and intense fear. Suddenly, an unknown computer turned on, and strange hieroglyphic text began to appear on the screen. They looked very unusual. No one could read them. Every second more and more hieroglyphs appeared on the screen. And in the silence of this building, the only sound was the computer working, breaking the dead silence with its presence. A small room on the third floor for meetings of the Mininya Guild. All three lay tired on the table. Emma was very upset that she could not take the machine with her. She was too tired to complain loudly. The machine standing among the ruins was huge and very similar to an artificial magical intelligence that had previously gone out of control in the boy's past life. Mina replied that the girl definitely could not have pulled that machine with her because it was very large and there was nowhere to store it. Here, unfortunately, one has to agree. This DSX machine consists of 13 magical arithmetic blocks. It was believed that during the escape all machines except 12 mysteriously disappeared, but it seems they ended up in our world. Mina clenched her fist and said that she had had enough of this meager salary. She was very tired of all this. Due to low pay, the job had become unbearable for her. Eventually, their magic and strength ran out, and when they found out that the machine was broken, they took the treasures from this room and returned to the guild. The girl added that she was very pleased to know that everyone remained whole and unharmed. After such difficult adventures, she was truly glad that everyone was alive and well. Emma began to laugh and said that she had achieved all this through hard work. They managed to get 36 magical communicators worth 720 million zigs. A greedy expression appeared on the girl's face. She loved money very much and always wanted more. In fact, the girl realized that all her good guesses appeared thanks to magical devices and other things, of which there were many in that room with machines. She was very happy that she managed to get them. Emmy ran, jumped, and danced around the room. She had never held so much money in her hands and was very happy. She had already decided to buy herself the best meat. She also asked the boy to smile and asked if he wanted something for himself. Mina interrupted her and said that they could not just take this money. She had slightly different plans for this amount, and it was not a small sum at all. It could be spent not only on food or entertainment, but also on something truly important. Yima suddenly stopped and was very surprised by such words. She really wanted to spend this money and buy delicious meat. The thought that she would not get her money upset her very much. The girl took the device and said that this amount would be enough for production in the country for several years. She added that it would be difficult to immediately exchange such a large sum in the guild. Emma did not like this. She wanted to get the meat. Mena continued that at first they would divide the devices among themselves. The team was lucky that there were 36 of them, so there would be enough for everyone. The girl added that they still needed to sell something to the guild and pointed to the box nearby. Emma sneaked up from behind and scared her friend, who was very frightened. Mena scolded her, asked not to scare tired people anymore, and for the umpteenth time reminded that this thing was very dangerous. It was a single-use magical source that could explode if handled improperly. It is forbidden to keep such things, so if someone finds something similar, it is better to immediately sell it to the guild. Emma anxiously asked not to release magical energy because it was dangerous. Mina shouted back that everything was under control. The man recalled that this had already happened to him in a past life, but then he needed a license to transport dangerous goods for work. He was curious that his past world and this one were very similar to each other. Suddenly, something exploded loudly in the window right behind the boy. The explosion was so strong that even the window shook from such a powerful force. Minato turned around, trying to understand what was happening. There was no panic in his eyes. He was too tired. But his curiosity about the situation was clearly visible in his gaze. He wondered if something had exploded. Such strong explosions that even windows tremble wildly do not happen every day. Emma was already sitting under the table, hugging her knees and trembling with fear. She looked very scared, trying to hide from danger and protect herself. The boy looked out the window and realized that the sound was coming directly from the ruins, and this worried him very much. The explosion was too powerful. He could not just ignore it. Mena noticed that this noise was much farther than it seemed to her. Minato added that in the very heart of the forest everything was calm, and this was very strange. Making such explosions in the forest is extremely dangerous. Suddenly, noise began to come from the lower floors. The boy did not like it at all. The cries of the people below were so loud that the company heard every word. A crowd of people ran somewhere into the unknown. Countless legs rushed forward as if in panic, fleeing from someone or something. It seemed the explosion scared them much more than Emmy. She closed her eyes briefly, sinking into her thoughts. Everyone agreed that they were terribly tired. And something strange was happening here too. They definitely did not have time for that. Now the fatigue was much stronger than the desire to give in to panic, which the people below felt. The girl added that until they regain their strength, they will not be able to do anything. The boy agreed. He himself understood perfectly how tired they were. Mina became more lively and said that now they only had to submit an application to buy or sell, and then eat and sleep. For them, this was the best plan at the moment rather than saving the city. Everyone agreed because they did not want to have problems with it. Ima just wanted to eat meat and did not think at all about others or any danger. Fatigue and hunger were stronger than everything. Mina brought the guy the application and said that only his signature was missing here. Minato looked at the questionnaire. The words seller and accompanying person were clear to him, but he could not figure out what main participant meant. Mina replied that this is exactly why he can receive awards from the guild in this country for his great achievements. All his actions and efforts must not go unrewarded. The boy pondered and said that if you often use magic, being a big investor is somehow strange. He did not quite understand this, but he did not ask any more questions. The girls laughed loudly at the boy's words about magic. His jokes amused them so much that they almost cried from laughter. Mena said that they would not write lies in the questionnaire. Emma added that without a doubt, the biggest contribution was made by Minato himself. The girl added that it was all thanks to the boy, who used a little magic, and asked him not to demand further explanations. Pride sounded in her voice. The boy just remained silent. He did not know what to answer the girls in such a situation. After all, he himself did not fully understand anything. It was still too complicated for him. He realized that this was some kind of special bonus. Mina called everyone to move on. They needed to go downstairs and find out what had happened there and what that explosion was. Minato was surprised when he heard quick footsteps approaching them. It seemed as if someone was frantically looking for someone, as these footsteps were full of fear and hope. This really sounds truthful. Suddenly, a man ran into the room with panic on his face. He loudly asked if there was a sage here. He very much hoped to hear that there was one here because he urgently needed a sage. Mina was surprised when she saw Mr. Rice. She did not expect to meet him here at all. For her, it was strange and unusual. The girl asked, "Did something happen?" The boy standing behind Emma was noticeably upset. Who was this? She replied that this was the guild leader, Mania. Then Minato realized that this was a very important person. The man said that he urgently needed help, promised to tell the details on the way, and asked to go with him. The boy decided that the matter was really serious since the leader himself came for help. The man sharply asked if it was related to the recent explosion. Now he was interested in figuring out this matter, and even fatigue did not hinder his desire to find out everything as soon as possible. The man sharply furrowed his brows. Minato did not like this serious face. The man looked carefully at the boy in front of him and asked what rank he held and what he did. Minato seriously replied that he is a mage of rank E. The man winced and sighed heavily. He turned to Mina and said that she could stay in the room, and if the girl needed help, he would call her. Mina wanted to say something about that guy, but Rice suddenly interrupted her and said that in this situation, her magical power would be just enough. Minato exhaled with relief, realizing that he was allowed to rest a little. He mentally apologized to someone, realizing that he might be ignoring the girls. But if it is about some special ability or knowledge, then so be it. He is still a novice, his rank is low, and he has almost no strength left. Emma suddenly approached the man and shouted for him not to underestimate Minato, which frightened Rice. The girl continued to tell that the boy was the best of all. He defeated many monsters and a terrible dragon thanks to his incredible magic. She wanted to say that the boy was very wise, but he suddenly covered her mouth and said he would wait for the instructions of the man who was in this room, so he did not let her finish speaking. Minus suddenly approached her team. She quietly asked if the boy did not want anyone to find out about it. The boy quietly replied that he did not want to attract attention to himself. In the girl's eyes shone some special confidence. The girls looked seriously and stood in front of them, asked Minato to go with them. Otherwise, they would not go anywhere, which the boy did not like at all. I did not even realize that he would have to go again and help someone. The boy yawned loudly, remembering that he had not slept since yesterday. He sharply asked if he could find out what rank these girls were, and Emma replied that they were rank B. I did not even guess that they were experienced travelers. A crowd of people gathered below, loudly shouting, rejoicing, and preparing for something important. Minato believes that it is truly breathtaking. The men loudly discussed power and earnings. Another group also discussed how much money they could take. And again, it was about money. Rice said that the intelligence group's report should arrive soon, so we should wait here. Mania is a city where new adventurers constantly arrive. But everyone gathered here, it is visible even from their appearance, is the true elite. The men approached him and asked what happened, and the man himself was glad to see her. He said that a large number of monsters are moving directly towards the city. The man added that these monsters are most likely very strong, so experienced fighters were called here. 3 men began to pose and say that they would now show all these monsters who is the boss here. Minato was not sure about this. They said they were just preparing some plan and would be very glad if the girls joined their team. Mina turned to Minato, and he waved to them with a tired look, indicating that they should go without him. The boy yawned and realized that it would be better for the girls without him in this matter. But right now he just wanted to sleep. Suddenly someone burst into the room. Right by the entrance stood a very tired man. He suddenly raised his eyes, looking very scared, holding some special device in his hands. He shouted loudly that a detailed report from the scouts had finally arrived. Minato looked at him with tired eyes. The boy at the entrance said that there were about 6,000 monsters here. He also added that their average rank was around sea level. All the adventurers were very surprised by such a number of monsters. Someone said that this could not be true, but the man replied that this information was accurate. He also added that most likely the outer city walls might not hold. A huge number of monsters rushed straight ahead without stopping, and their eyes glowed with a desire to destroy everything in their path. The giant moved forward, crushing everything around with his huge hands. The men in the guild rushed to flee in panic. Everyone was scared by the news they had just been told. Minato was very surprised that such men simply took off and ran away. All the adventurers ran at full speed and shouted because they were truly very scared of the monsters. Suddenly, someone stood in front of them and threateningly blocked the road. The guild leader stood right at the entrance, blocking the way for everyone, and ordered them to stop. He suggested discussing how the city can be protected now. The men did not like it. They simply decided to save themselves. People began to hotly discuss that the monsters would come tomorrow at dawn. Someone loudly shouted that only 6 hours remained. The leader spoke only when the monsters began to become too lively. Experienced travelers most likely could have escaped. He suddenly asked how the new people and locals would live together. The man added that it was all in vain, as they had no chance of survival. Everyone in the room immediately fell silent, as if these words really touched something important. Someone clenched a fist and swore. The leader said he knew the main rule of adventurers. First of all, to save oneself, but wanted to ask the men as the leader of the guild, Mania. Rice bowed deeply, as did the people next to him, and they all asked the adventurers to help protect the city. All the men were silent and listened tensely, but the leader continued and said that there would be a reward for this, so they needed to use their chance to the fullest. Someone proudly stepped forward and said that this was a very profitable offer. Minato understands that this leader is really very capable and knows how to negotiate. Seekers asked what their plan was. The leader looked at Sierra, and the girl nodded in response. She spread the city map on the table. The man began to explain his plan. He wants to make a second defensive line and dig a moat inside the outer wall. The men asked where to get all the necessary materials. The chief ordered to cut down trees, dismantle several houses, and use the sand left after digging the moats to fill the space between the walls. All the seekers carefully look at the map and listen to the action plan, since this place is fenced on all sides. The chief continued. The thing is, monsters would attack people if they noticed them, so the leader ordered to build a high wall and hide behind it. They planned to wait until the main forces arrived and the enemy hordes passed by. The man continued and said that they would clear enough space around the guild so that ordinary people could enter. All the adventurers opened their eyes wide and listened carefully. The travelers asked if they should start right now. They were told that the space here is very large. Speaking of evacuating people, everyone understands well that no wall can withstand the pressure of 6,000 rank sea monsters. Minato watched all this and realized that he understood nothing. Mina rarely asked if they would manage to carry out this plan. The boy understood that she had asked the question everyone was interested in, and everyone answered that they were looking for a sage to find out why there were so many famous adventurers in Mania. One of the men said that the girl looked like his granddaughter, and he really wanted to treat her to candies. The guild leader replied that the chances of success were actually very small, and he sharply asked, "Do they have a better plan than this?" The branch manager managed to develop and implement the plan so quickly. Mina stepped a little closer and carefully examined the head. In his opinion, this plan is the only one that can be implemented. The manager suddenly raised his hand and said that everything was already decided because there was almost no time left. The guild leader ordered the residents living closest to the outer wall to relocate and prepare the area. Under the guidance of the carpenters, the adventurers would start digging and building fortifications. In other words, they need to do everything possible right now. A huge crowd of brave people persistently defended their city from monsters. Everyone loudly and passionately discussed what to do next. Suddenly, someone says that he is sorry, but he wants to leave. The boys were arguing loudly. They asked one of them if he really wanted to leave now, to which he calmly replied that he had heard about the presence of A-class monsters and realized it was not their level. He quickly mounted his horse and galloped into the unknown, advising his comrades to also flee as fast as possible. Minato looks at what is happening around and understands that people are gripped by despair. Suddenly, a man behind shouted for everyone to disperse because he was carrying his belongings. The boy quickly jumped aside to avoid being knocked down. He calmly looked ahead, lost in his own thoughts. He did not even suspect that there were so many people in this city. Suddenly, someone approached the boy and said that now they might have problems. Minato turned around and saw the hotel owner. The man noticed that the boy was very tired, compared him to a bear, and asked if he had slept at all recently. Then he sharply gave the boy a piece of meat and threw it onto a haystack in the village, hoping the boy would rest well. Many say they remember. He had not slept since yesterday and asks how much he owes the man for the meat. The innkeeper smiled and told the boy to take them for free. He explained that he was giving them away because they might spoil during the evacuation. Unfortunately, he himself had become disabled and could not help with the evacuation, but still tried to do what he could. Minato was covered with a blanket, and the man went to help the adventurers feed them. The boy remained lying on the hay. Looking at the meat in his hands, he mentally apologized to Emi. Minato bit off a piece. He liked it, and when he finished eating, he settled more comfortably on the hay, closed his eyes, and realized that despite everything, he felt safe. People were running back and forth. Everyone offered help. Someone shared important information. Someone asked if they could help with anything. The boy climbed out of the hay and wondered, could he help with something too? But now his magical power had decreased by 20%, not counting the nameless magic. He can only make 100 shots, because he lacks knowledge from his past life for the magic to work at 100%. If he liked strategies as much as these children, he could come up with something. But he only knows about children's games. Hide and seek, tag, circle games with cards. All these entertainments were very popular. The last one was especially famous. A game in which you learn to create magical circles in a fun way, competing for the best positions. On each of the 10 cards, you need to draw a magical circle that you remember well, and then fix it. There was also a magical circle for scaring off enemies, but if the enemy is already in the camp, it is useless. However, this circle helps well to keep enemies out before they sneak in. Minato decided to remember what this sign looked like and tried to draw it in his notebook. Suddenly, an unexpected thought struck him. When he was a child, he did not understand the meaning of this. But over time, when he mastered the magic of this world, everything fell into place. He felt that he resembled the magical circle in Emi's sphere that attracts demons. The boy is not sure that it will work, but he wants to try. I am not squatting on the ground, but simply enhancing myself with magic. He suddenly jumped up sharply and rose very high. Carefully climbed onto the roof of a very tall building. A group of adventurers was staring into the distance, trying to understand if the invasion had been stopped. The man interrupted their thoughts and explained. If demons notice people, they immediately attack. If they gather in a group, they attack the city. He asked, "Isn't that so?" Yet he does not understand why they stopped. Suddenly, someone shouted that the monsters were moving towards the city. The girl sharply drew the bow. Her hand trembled strongly and there was fear in her eyes. She says that the monsters have already started moving, and if they just pass by. The monsters quietly advance forward, preparing to attack everything that comes their way. From the tall building, someone was carefully watching all this. The girl suddenly got scared and loudly asked, "What about the northern side?" She quickly ran to the other side and instantly opened the window. Suddenly, something scared her badly, and true horror appeared in her eyes. She covered her mouth with her hands to avoid screaming again and asked, "What is this?" People below began to panic and ask what was happening, and someone loudly replied that something had happened at the observation tower. People started loudly asking if demons had really entered inside. What happened to the yellow torches that marked the invasion? The girl on the tower said that she didn't understand anything at all. Someone from below asked her what that meant because he didn't understand, and also asked if the communicator was broken. The girl replied that the communicator was fine, it's just something else. She explained that she thought the investments had already stopped, but the monsters were still moving forward. Suddenly, the girl shouted that the monsters had begun to surround the city. People started discussing whether the monsters had their own siege tactics. Someone noted that he had never heard of such a thing. Somewhere in the crowd, Minato was trying to understand what was happening. The boy assured that magic against monsters really works, but the people's reaction to it made the boy uneasy. He was worried whether he had done something wrong. Suddenly, someone from the crowd shouted that she recognized Minato. Emi and Mina's acquaintances rarely hugged the boy. He was very surprised by such a greeting, but was glad to have met them. For him, it was a very joyful meeting. The boy asked what this phrase meant. "Did I know?" Mina interrupted him and said why the invasion stopped, and pointed upwards. Minato understood that she saw his magic. The girls sharply asked if it really worked. Emma replied that if they had such magic, they would calmly walk the path without any difficulties. He did not answer that it was in vain because of the proximity of monsters, but added that magic is very difficult to transfer after it has been activated. He knew all this from the game. The boy turned back to the crowd and asked if he did the right thing by using magic, because he was very worried about the reaction of the people around. Minus disagreed, but Emma, on the contrary, said that the boy acted correctly. The girl decided to tell that the outer layer of the wall was already finished, but you can't say the same about the outer part. They had to fight flying monsters. In their eagle there are giants and orcs, so there is a chance they will climb over the double wall. Monolo became interested if it was an expensive process. The girls clearly remember how they got here. It's good that Minato is here. The girl smiled at him cheerfully and sincerely. Mena thought well, and decided to ask the boy where he learned this technique. The girl is glad that she knows many magical techniques, although she herself sees such for the first time. Minato accidentally said that it was Kinmen, and the girls did not understand anything. The boy recalls that the game could have been called longer, something like A Guide to Countering Magical Disasters, but everyone called it Kinmen for short. Minato realized that he could remember the full name of the game. In his past life, he hardly ever encountered demons because almost all of them were destroyed back then. But if they suddenly did attack, people would not be able to defend themselves. That is why the state decided to explain the main measures in such a situation. They presented it in the form of a game, and later the name was shortened to the familiar Kinmen. It is hard for the boy to explain this, but that is exactly how it was written in the book he read long ago. So he tried his best. Minor nodded and said that if anyone else asks, they should answer that it is ancient magic. Minato said that it seems this might work, and the girl was very surprised. Miga wondered if the boy really uses that much magic. That is a huge energy expenditure. It is hard for the girl to explain why the boy is so strong, but it is clear that his magic is weakening. The city was restless. Everyone was preparing for a fight with the monsters that were already approaching. An elderly man with a nice beard said he would become the light. A businesswoman, resembling a witch, declared that she has water and air. The man replied that he is fire and darkness, and the short guy said that if no one objects, he will be the earth. Mina thanked Mr. Leos for gathering all the wizards so quickly. The man replied that this city is only a test to see if they can withstand the influx of demons, so it must be protected by this ancient magic. The man smiled contentedly and exhaled with relief. He was happy because it was truly incredible that they managed to deceive the monsters. During the trial, the wizards formed a circle around the charms to repel demons and tensely pointed their magic wands. It seemed they were about to start casting spells. All four thoughtfully wondered what it could be. The wizards began discussing that no element works here, and asked if this was really the same magic circle. Minato replied that there could be no mistake. It was indeed the same magic circle. He was impressed by what he saw, as it was the simplest magic circle anyone could use. Mina approached from behind and asked if it could be related to attribute magic. Lias came closer, asked them to wait, and inquired where the girl got such information, also asking about her rank. The girl replied that Minato knows all this, but she finds no magical reasons. To her, it looks strange. The girl suggests that the matter might be in complex attribute magic. She means that several properties need to be combined simultaneously for activation. She understands that there is nothing special about this. Lias added that this concerns 15 combinations of only 2 traits. Maynard replied that there could be combinations of 3 or even more traits. The man was surprised and said that if we talk about people who have many different traits, they can do much more. Minato came closer and said that if that is so, the man was asked to continue, and was asked if it was possible to simply trust his magic to drive away demons. He replied that yes, and added that people should not worry. He asked how much longer he needed to hold back the demons. Leos thoughtfully rubbed his nose and smiled to himself. The man replied that he knows nothing. He hoped that the demons would get bored or want to eat and leave, but they behaved very strangely. He adds that if Minato's magic repelled demons, they would have simply walked past them. But the monsters have not disappeared. They are still here, surrounding the city and standing silently around, like a wary herd. Manza sharply asked what exactly these monsters needed, and clarified if they had any peculiarities in behavior. Lias replied that it was an ordinary flock and everyone was walking together. No one was lagging behind. Minato was very surprised when she heard about the backward ones. The man explained that he meant demons that separate from the group and act independently. So when they gather to attack a large herd, they first go after those who have fallen behind. The boy asked again if there were any problems, to which he was told that everything was fine and there was nothing. The girl finds this very strange, as a whole huge herd has gathered. Someone is clearly controlling this huge pack of monsters. Lias and Mina both guess that it might be a red egg. Minato asks what kind of egg it is. He was explained that these eggs suddenly appear in the forest and can cause crowds of demons, but no one knows exactly where they come from. The girl began to say that demons that appear from the red egg are easy to subdue. Minato asked what to do next and suggested that if the egg is destroyed, the demons will simply flee. He clarified if he understood correctly. He was told that the demons will simply disappear, and that it is only necessary to break the egg. Lias said that this is impossible. He said that the egg is guarded by monsters, and today there are about 10 of them. But only once has it been possible to destroy this egg. Mena added that 24 of the strongest travelers participated in that trial, and only 2 managed to reach the end, because back then the demons were even stronger than now. And indeed it seems hopeless. Minato realizes that with his remaining 20% magic, he will no longer be able to help. Lias continued and explained it in other words. When Mania Minato ends, demons will rush through the walls together, and the city will perish. The boy understands that his magic is a great responsibility. He dismissed all unnecessary thoughts. Minato understands that he must help this city. The main thing is not to give up. He suddenly cut off his story and said that if they already know about the successful attempt, they will definitely be able to come up with something and asked to tell more details. Laios thought and said that demons that appeared from the red egg usually move a certain distance away from the egg if they can use it. Suddenly Minato thought of something interesting. The couple became interested in the boy's words. All 3 entered the library. The man immediately agreed with the boy's idea, and this surprised Minato. He asked again if they were really sure, because he considered this plan unsuccessful. Laya says he is ready for the villagers to be outraged at him, but the guild might agree to Minato's idea. He sharply ordered everyone to act. Everyone immediately reacted very positively. The man asked Sierra to escort the boy to the VIP room, and the girl agreed. Lias called Minato one last time. He firmly shook the boy's hand and said that the fate of the city depends on his magical power. Lia wished the boy luck in holding the barrier for 2 more days. Minamoto smiled and promised that he would do everything in his power. All the people diligently tried to protect themselves from the demons approaching them. Minato sat on the sofa. He was very tired and finally could rest after such a long day. He thought that only he managed to advance his idea so easily, and at the same time looked around the beautiful room. For some reason, he felt that he was a stranger here, and Sierra was already about to leave, thinking she needed to breathe fresh air. She turned around and told the boy that he would definitely succeed. Minato nodded and tiredly closed his eyes. Now he could only maintain the magic. He feels like he forgot something important. Sierra was nearby and said that she had never seen bears sleep. Minato replied that he had not slept for 2 nights already. The girl was very surprised and said that the boy was probably very tired. He had worked a lot and truly deserved it. The boy asked if there was something to drink to stay awake, and Sierra offered him herbal tea. The girl with a polite smile poured the boy some tea and asked what would happen if he fell asleep. Minato yawned loudly said that most likely the barrier will turn off soon. The girl did not understand immediately and asked again. Minato said that the barrier will simply disappear. She approached him and looked closely straight into his tired eyes. Minato understands that there may be only half a day left until the barrier ends. He decides not to fall asleep until he completes his mission. Someone suggests leaving the city. Adventurers are persistently working again, now in the mines. The man wipes sweat from his forehead, and suddenly his comrade hears noise right above their heads. He realized that the demons were already very close, right above them. Monsters really ran just above their heads, and the men only thought about how to get upstairs faster to breathe fresh air. The man understood. If the monsters attacked them, they needed to switch to the backup plan. Quickly make a hole in the ground. They want to dig a tunnel to escape under the influence of the red egg. Only the strongest adventurers were gathered in the digging team. The boy approaches the workers and asks what will happen if he heals them using magic. The men, of course, agree and are even happy about it. And the boy immediately draws a spell on a sheet of paper. A group of people dug a tunnel under the monsters. They used magic for the excavations. Wizards who possessed the power of the earth used this magic when building the wall. The men looked at the image in front of them and marveled at how easily the wizards tamed the earth, since this is independent magic that does not require Monato for activation. If it were combined magic, it would be much more difficult to do. While Park was casting the spell, he wondered what kind of magical kino Minato had given him. It was unfamiliar magic that consumed minimal energy. Did the mage really harm himself since everyone relied heavily on the support of such mages? He blushed a little. This thought warmed his soul. He was pleased to realize that now he was very useful. Now that the earth is prepared, more and more people use bags and the advantages of storage. The men firmly grabbed the bags and were already about to carry them somewhere. All the travelers and residents will go through the tunnels. The men pass the bags to each other to carry them to the surface. He needs to focus on spending less magical energy to maintain protection against demons. The boy understands that he just has to wait until the tunnel is finished, and he closes his eyes. The girl slowly approaches him from behind, and the boy wants to turn around. But she turned out to be faster and hit the man on the head so hard that he definitely had to forget about sleep. Sierra politely asked if the boy was okay, and he replied that he was, thanking her because he almost fell asleep, and she saved him. In a past life, he could stay awake for even 3 days in a row, but he had never felt such exhaustion of magical powers. Now he understands that he must be alert and under no circumstances fall asleep. If he falls asleep, demons will break into the city. He understands that this is very important, but he cannot do anything about it. Sierra began to shake the boy quickly, because he was already almost asleep. She hit him once more strongly with all her might. The girl apologized to him, but Minato replied that he himself asked her to hit him if he wanted to fall asleep, and asked her not to worry about it. The boy thinks that people have been digging for 3 days already. He should have heard by now that the tunnel is ready, but nothing is happening yet. You wondered if everything was all right when Sierra suddenly called Minato to get his attention. She suggested to the boy to go and check everything himself. She shouted sharply that she no longer wants to hit this boy. The residents are waiting for the evacuation signal before entering the tunnel. Minato has less than 10% magical power left, so it's time to act. Everyone is worried. Someone calls to take only the essentials. Minato saw the boy who asked to be returned to the tunnel. He said he was very useful there, but his companion refused, saying that he was completely exhausted. The first one objected, explaining that there was very little time left to open the tunnel, and added that the base of the rock is located here. The second boy looked worriedly at his tired friend. Minato asked if they were all right. They explained to him that there is hard stone between the ground and the tunnel, and the entrance itself was blocked. Minato understood why the road opening was delayed. The tired boy began to assure that he was fine and ready to continue working. His friend shouted that he would not be able to work because he looked very bad. The boy asked for some water. The boy looked at him sadly. He said that the waterways were destroyed by demons, and the drinking water became unusable. Sierra was very surprised when she saw empty barrels nearby. Minato seriously asked if it was possible to summon water using magic, since there is magic that provides water. Water mages replied that with their power they could only fill 2 wine barrels, and even those were already empty because all the mages were very tired. Sierra became worried and asked what to do now. Minato asked the mages to show them the magic circle responsible for water supply. They showed it to him, and he realized that his thoughts were correct. It was indeed very inefficient. The girl sorceress said that this was very important and valuable knowledge, which was changed by the great sage Weimar. Minato was disappointed with this man, because all these problems were because of him. The boy asked to distribute letters with the spell. Suddenly water poured from the mage's magic wand, which greatly surprised the girl. She exclaimed excitedly, with a sparkle in her eyes, that this magic circle was incredible and did not lose its power. One man wanted to get water, but a worker from the tunnel digging team threatened him that they would be first, and he needed to get in line, since the water mages had already filled all the barrels with water. Sierra asked if it was really possible to give such a spell without payment. It was extremely valuable. It was precisely for such a thing that Monardo could end up in prison. But the boy replied that they desperately needed it now. He sighed with relief. The water problem was finally solved. If these stones do not yield even to drilling magic, Monardo decides to use his enhanced offensive magic on other sorcerers so that they can pass it to Rias. Sierra smiled and said that this boy had not changed at all. Minato was surprised and asked again, "Really?" The girl confirmed her words. The boy believes that even if he only had 10% of all the magic left, they would still find a way to cure themselves of the demons, so he suddenly called Reyes. The man was talking to someone about water. People behind were running with joyful smiles and shouting that they had already taken water with them for the journey. The village head suddenly asked loudly, "Why is water flowing from the ceiling?" The couple who was running suddenly stopped upon hearing these words. Furious streams of water thunderously merged into one deadly cascade, and the roar of the enraged element was simply deafening. Water was seeping from all corners of the cave. The young man loudly replied to the chief that the water was fine. He added that it was underground water and it was flowing quite strongly. If it continued like this, their tunnel would be flooded in an hour. Reyes tried to object, not wanting to believe it. He asked if the tunnel was already flooded. "The water will flood everything around, everything will collapse, and the tunnel will be cut off." Minato approached closer and asked about the condition of the tunnel near the exit. Main honestly replied that it was all in vain. They couldn't even make a crack. The boy understands that all this is in vain. Is the only way really to give up on security measures? According to the plan, after the tunnel was opened, the residents were supposed to be evacuated. The entrance closed to scare the demons. But now the tunnel is threatened by flooding. Going inside is like ordering yourself to drown. But if people stay in the city, then in less than 12 hours the protection against demons will weaken, and they will break into the city. Minato understands that there were no guarantees here from the very beginning. Become the leader. The man with fear in his eyes shifted his gaze to someone else. Minato ordered the residents to go down into the tunnel, and he himself promised to close and block the entrance. People were walking through the tunnel, anxiety about the unknown shining in their eyes, but they slowly moved forward, hoping for rescue. Minato stood at the entrance and carefully watched the huge crowd of people. The boy understood that one mistake could take the lives of several people at once, all the villagers. Because of such pressure, his hands trembled strongly. The guild leader reported that all the residents were already inside the tunnel. Minato gave the order to start. The man suddenly cut the thick rope and it snapped with a crack. The gates opened, and water slowly flowed from the artificial moat, gradually gaining strength and relentlessly striving to break free. Two people stood in the darkness, silently waiting for something, and the tension in the air did not bode well. Minato spread his arms to the sides and began to recite a spell to drive away evil spirits. A small sphere appeared in his hands, and when the demons aimed it at the village, the boy commanded to release the power. Terrible creatures crawled out of the darkness, their twisted bodies flickering in the light. Each of them opened a huge maw with curved poisonous fangs dripping sticky saliva. The barbaric monster attack swept over the city like a living hurricane storm. Their distorted bodies, covered with muscles and strong armor, crashed with a roar against the ancient walls. Minato realized that now he could use magic, and from then on everything depended on the strength of the foundation. The boy sat on the ground using magical acceleration. Now it was a real race against time. Reyes turned to Minato. He raised his hand, patted him on the back, and said that he would be a rookie. As soon as the man touched the boy's back, he instantly burst forward at full speed. He began to overtake the huge crowd of people, using the discovery he had made in his life. He flew so fast that people couldn't notice him. He outran the entire crowd in the tunnel. His speed was simply inhuman. Monsters on the surface growled loudly, searching for food. They destroyed everything that came their way. Minato moved forward, completely confident in his actions. He outran the crowd at such a crazy speed that everyone was amazed. People couldn't believe their eyes to see such a thing with their own eyes. They began to shout loudly in his support, believed in him and his powers, not doubting his abilities. To them, he was a true hero. The crowd stopped in front of a puddle. Water was flowing from the stream, and everyone was thinking about how to get through this place together. The queue almost completely occupied the entire tunnel. Minato opened his notebook to try a new spell. Suddenly, the water in front of the people froze and turned into a thick layer of ice. The boy flew under the ceiling, from which water was dripping and new holes were appearing, so he urgently needed to do something about it. All the water he saw in front of him, he turned into cold ice. He needed to protect all the people behind him. He went further forward. He urgently needed to reach the end of the tunnel. He could stop the water, but not all of it. He placed his foot on the support, pushed off, and jumped forward again to fly faster. Suddenly a light appeared before him, and he saw a small group of people resembling various sorcerers, among whom stood Mina and Amma. Hearing strange sounds behind, the girls immediately turned around. The boys suddenly stopped and fell to their knees before them. All sweaty and tired after such a flight, he reported that reinforcements from Minato arrived on time and exactly where needed. Someone reports that the reinforcements are already here, and the girl rejoices upon seeing Minato. They say that this stone blocks the entrance to the tunnel, and it is very large. They think that only magic can cause vibration, but if you constantly affect it with vibration, There is a risk that the tunnel will be entangled with glycine. They say that for the decisive blow, all their magical power will have to be spent. Minato notes that they lack the necessary magic, suggests improving it, and says, if this stone is broken, maybe they will be able to go further. Other characters notice that everyone is standing waist-deep in water and ask what he is doing. They ask him not to distract so as not to break his concentration. The hero says that he is perfecting the bomb cannon from the combat magic manual. He believes that now it has become more powerful, but he himself is very tired. His eyes are already closing from drowsiness. He adds that he even has a headache. The main hero thinks that this topic needs to be well worked out so that there are no strange gaps. The man says that now all they can do is pray. A boy with dark hair asks to create a magic circle. A young boy uses a powerful cannon to destroy a stone barrier. The heroes call the boy. Minato seems to see the land and he rejoices. Now he can sleep peacefully. Other characters are also happy because of the success. The hero wonders who is in front of him, a demon or a human. He says it is too bright to see anything and he cannot move. A girl with long hair says they were so worried that they even fell asleep next to her, and she is glad that Mr. Minato finally woke up. The boy lies on the bed and thinks about who this incredibly strong and beautiful girl is. She said she is glad nothing happened to him and that he was just sleeping. He replied that he can sleep without even moving. The girl adds that 2 seekers of wisdom thought he was dead. She says they cried bitterly when she found him. The hero thinks that only she looked like his savior. She apologizes for the unexpected appearance and explains that this is the guest house of the Maya Guild. The girl introduces herself, says she is Cardiff, the branch manager. He replies that he has already heard. The rescuers were sent to a neighboring city, and asks, did you personally come to rescue them as a commander? She says that she heard from the branch manager in Manhwa that the city ended up at the epicenter of a monster attack, and that he was the first in history to be able to stop the undead onslaught. Some approach him for an autograph, and he realizes with surprise that he has now become famous. Minato asks what this document is called. Receipt for reward for special request. The leader of the local guild reports that the Adventurers Guild will give a small reward to everyone who helped save people in trouble, and they have already determined the amount of this reward. She adds that 30 million has already been prepared for him. The boy notes that this is very much. She says that if they ask to review the amount, there is a chance to get even more. The girl addresses Minato and tells him to feel at home. She asks him to greet the 2 people in the room. They report that they slept here almost all night, and Minato does not want to wake them, saying he will quietly go out to see what is happening in the city. He says that everyone is already awake and asks why they slept with him. The others reply that Cardiff was very kind to them and said she liked good girls. 2 girls say that she showed them the whole house, and they often came here. Cardiff notices that this is exactly the Minato they talked so much about. He points out that the scale of the outbreak is unusually large, and suggests that they might be behind it. She says that everything may not end as they want, and expresses concern about the situation. Maya is called the main city of this area. All roads pass through it, and it is an important transport hub. The girl notices that the city walls are simply impressive, and even if 6,000 demons attack them, it will still be possible to hold out here for some time. They notice that a tower is being built, and think that it is because the demons are already too close, so the city is strengthening its defense. They also see that the work is going very fast, and everyone working there are experienced and strong adventurers. They say that the hotel has no room for all the refugees from Mingira, so they gathered in the square, where they set up a tent camp. People celebrate their rescue, saying that they thought they would not survive when the water reached almost their shoulders, but now they are glad that everything ended well. Minato sighs with relief upon learning that everything is fine. He says that he heard how they carried him somewhere while he was asleep, and they tell him that it was a whole battle to move him. The girl suggests leaving because everyone wants to thank Minato. He replies that it looks too lavish, and he has other plans. They discuss that a great find among the ruins might be the true essence of the red egg. They say that when it heard about the appearance of demons, it was the escape of an artificial magical intelligence that got out of control. The girl denies this guess and says that she saw nothing like that there. They also note that to summon such a number of demons, a very strong source of magical power is needed, and none was noticed here. The main heroine says that she understands why Minato is worried. The boy says that he received a map from Reyes. The place where the explosives were before is a probable point where the red egg is located, and it is situated very close to the ruins they found. The heroes regret not paying attention to all these signs earlier, and say that they could have taken measures in advance. They believe that the Maya have woven a web from their people, and this is not the end yet. The real finale is ahead. They say that until the residents of Minia return home, the problem will remain unresolved. The hero says that they will have to either fight 6,000 demons or immediately attack the red egg. The girl believes that they can defeat the red egg if Minato, the best adventurer seeker in Mayase, gathers a large team, although it will not be easy. The heroes decide that it is best to let the demons disappear on their own, if there is no other way out. The traveler says that if there are eggs, they might be somewhere under something. She also mentions that under the basement of the Grand Theater she sensed a strange smell. The heroine is worried that her magic will soon run out, and she fears that she will be attacked again, as it was with the mechanical dragon. Minato notes that Emi's intuition often does not fail, and suggests that the egg might be much closer than they thought. He hopes to use this clue to find the egg. The girl is asked to explain exactly how this will look. Emi agrees and begins to explain, but her answer remains unfinished, so the question hangs in the air. The traveler notices that she is cold and asks why it is so chilly. Another character notes that there is a severe frost outside. The boy asks her if she is cold or shivering. The girl replies that it is not about that. She feels as if she has entered a very unpleasant place and asks if he does not feel it. The young man asks if there are demons nearby. He is told that there are none close, and he wonders where then this feeling of hostility comes from. Someone says that one person decided to use such magic for free because it is very expensive. To this, a character replies that he spilled water and used sticky magic. It is then reported that perhaps someone is watching him through someone else. The hero feels that someone is watching him, and it makes him nervous. He wonders if it is just his imagination, and says that Ami's intuition only works when it comes to ruins, so he doubts that it could concern a person. Mena reports that she has contacted the guild. It is quiet and peaceful in the city now, and they are trying to gather more information. Minato asks if she thinks Amy will come. She replies, "Probably not," and asks him not to look under her skirt. The boy believes that she is not in any danger. The hero suggests returning to the guild's guest house for a while. The girl with short hair asks if she feels comfortable and calm. The girl with long hair replies that she is still cold. Minato responds that he is here and confirms his presence. The heroes ask Minuta to tell something or sing, suggest playing a musical instrument or sharing an interesting story they haven't heard yet. But the boy refuses and says he feels like putting children to sleep. The main hero notices that something is wrong with Amy and tries to understand the reason. He thinks he could use magic to figure it all out, but assumes it might be ordinary depression after taking a bath. The young man thinks there must be something else and decides to improve his magic. It will come in handy. However, he admits that he is still not sure if he is ready for it. He notices that Amy's hair is a bit dry and tells her about it. She also notes that Amy feels calmer next to Minato. Mina jokes that she is like a kitty who loves to warm up in the sun. The hero replies that he has thought about it for a long time. The boy wonders why Emi got so scared and suggests that a whole horde of 6,000 creatures from Minkira might be approaching them. The girl notes that demons from the red egg are not capable of performing such tricks, and considers it impossible. Minato suggests that they are heading right here. The traveler anxiously tells Minato that if this happens, and falls silent, not finishing the thought. She adds that in case of an attack, this entire territory could be completely destroyed. Mayas is the largest city and the main logistical center in this region. If it is surrounded by demons, important supply routes will be cut off, and neighboring towns and villages could also fall. Minato agrees and wonders if the destruction will be as severe as in Mineri. He says that everything was fine before the demon attack, but now Emi is more afraid. Perhaps something more serious is happening now. The heroes realize that they just need to wait for news to find out what is really going on and what the situation is. A message came over the radio. It was the Maya Guild, and she addressed Mina with a request to respond. They say it is located right in front of the entrance to the Maya's Guild. The main character notices that many travelers have gathered here and asks what will be done with them, and also suggests Emi stay in her room. But she replies that she will be best off together with him. The heroes notice that many demons came out from the explosion site, and this begins to worry them. They wonder what is happening. The travelers notice that the monsters are not moving and think that there might be a new outbreak. They wonder how many of them are really here. They say there are as many as 40,000. 6 times more than there were in my mine. And because of this, the heroes simply cannot believe their eyes. Minato suspects that something bad is happening, but the numbers are so incredible that he asks Emma if this is why she feels cold. People in the city begin to worry and get upset when they learn that there are as many as 40,000 monsters. They realize this is a serious problem, and action must be taken immediately. People see an army before them, and say that these are Cardiff's troops. Mania adds that this guard is under Cardiff's direct command and consists of loyal men and women ready to fight for her to the end. On behalf of our entire Asa Guild division, I warmly welcome everyone on your arrival. She clearly announces that a new demon invasion has appeared. 40,000 new demons have hatched from a red egg, and warns that another wave of invasion awaits them soon. The character is confused by how quickly everything is happening and says that within a day, Maya will be in the very center of the events. The girl confidently says that the only way out is to gather a team and attack the place where the egg is located. She adds that they need to destroy it, although they understand that they are outnumbered by 40,000 times. But if they manage to break through, victory will be theirs. Other heroes are worried because this looks like suicide, and believe it is better to defend the city from 40,000 demons. The guild leader confidently states that they will take responsibility and lead the column, after which he mysteriously falls silent. She says with enthusiasm that she is ready to take part in the destruction of the red egg. Cardiff announces that everyone who wants to help destroy the red egg should gather at the designated place tomorrow at noon. Now everyone can be free. People willingly respond to Cardiff's call for help. Minato considers herself charismatic and believes she has an army. Her values are completely different from those of my heroes. Mina notes that it is impossible to talk because of the noise and suggests moving to another place. The main hero asks others what they think about this plan. He says that 6,000 against 40,000 is an uneven fight, and suggests that the monsters will attack from the flank, immediately defeat them and destroy them before they reach the egg. The girl is confident that Miss Cardiff already knows about this, and hopes that trouble can be avoided. The hero says he plans to leave 3 hours before the monsters arrive to avoid unnecessary problems and hopes that the demons will disappear just in time. The main heroine says she did not want to let things get even worse. The hero says he already thought about this before going to the bathroom and suggests going to look for the eggs before Cardiff finds out about it. The girl wonders why they had to go on this mission, and Minato explains that if they find out where the eggs are in advance, there will be fewer problems later. The character says he feels someone's gaze on him and does not intend to tell anyone about his strong magical abilities because it could bring trouble. Minato explains that his abilities must remain secret because he arouses suspicion. Only they dared to go with him, although everyone knows that he is a famous person, the owner of 5 hands, who possesses magic and ancient spells. The girl notices that she didn't know Minato could be so suspicious. Emi notices that the smell is becoming thicker and scarier. This means they are already close to the egg. Mena confirmed that she suspected. The egg is probably located where the ruins were found before. She also noted that Emi thought the egg should be somewhere under something big. The hero says that he is now looking for the shortest path to the Crimson Egg of Doom, and decides to dig further. For this, he uses enhanced excavation magic. He explains that he improved the digging spell, so now there is no need to spend time cleaning the soil. The hero notes that the excavation is going well, and if the egg really lies right under the ruins, then they have already covered about 2/3 of the way. He believes that special skills are not necessary. Emi's sense of smell will be enough. The girl says that she is returning to the surface, and if anything happens, she needs to be informed immediately. The adventurer happily asks if he can use this because usually she is not allowed. These are valuable magical items. Minato is surprised that Maina gave him something. He notices that she had never given him anything like this before. The hero is upset because the gift from the girl did not meet his expectations, but she reassures him. If he gets into trouble, this thing might come in handy. The girl explains that it is a pickaxe. The boy wonders how to use it properly. She says that he shouldn't say that he doesn't know how to handle it. Minus says that he doesn't need it anymore because his mana has recovered. The hero notes that the pickaxe will now be useful to him, especially when he needs to save mana. He gladly agrees to use this tool. They say goodbye to each other's girls. Emi says that now it is her turn to work. The boy believes that he will still win the egg hunt against Cardiff and wonders when it all turned into a competition. He adds that this would have scared him before. The girl notices that everything has changed. Earlier she was afraid, but now she is ready to act. They discuss whether she really understands how serious everything is. The main character says that when they find the egg, everything will become much more serious, and admits that they may not have enough strength. They say if you dig here, they will manage to bypass 40,000 monsters lurking outside, but will still have to fight those guarding the egg. The main heroine says that Mina went back upstairs to bring reinforcements and together defeat the enemies. The girl says that Maine is good at negotiating and will return with a group of adventurers. Even if he is a bit cunning, it will still be beneficial. The boy thinks it is good if at least 30 people come. The heroes note that this sounds encouraging, as fear no longer restrains their actions. At this moment, the magical communicator rings, and the heroine happily answers that it is her. The main heroine reports that she has already reached the tunnel exit. Emi says she hears nothing from her. Minato replies that it is indeed him, and Mina wonders why Emi gave the magical communicator to the hero. She notices that there is no movement on the watchtower, and the monster's speed is no different from what it was earlier in Mania. The heroes discuss the plan of action and decide that as soon as the mage starts moving, Everything must be destroyed immediately. The girl senses a powerful mage. The girl suggests that they can become their backup. She says that her strength recovers more slowly than Minato's, but promises to fix it. Emi asks what happened. Minato admits that he cannot go further because the situation is getting worse. He fears that if he uses his explosive gun in such a tight space, it could cause the cave to collapse. The excavation magic is too weak to break the stone. The heroine points to the tool and says that now is the time to use it. Minato holds a pickaxe and says it looks cool. He guesses that it might be the same famous tool that Mina gave him. The girl is surprised because it is the first time she sees him use a regular, not magical tool. The boy accepts the gift. He realizes that it is difficult to use the pickaxe without preparation. The girl offers him help. The hero tries to use the improved material, but notices that when he holds the tool high above his head, it is hard to aim. Then he decides to strike from the side. Minato is surprised that the stone simply fell down. He thinks it is just luck. The boy advises to let go of the situation because maybe it will get worse, and it is better to move forward without wasting time digging a hole. The girl warns that there may be toxic fumes there and emphasizes that this should be taken seriously. The boy asks Amy if she knows much about caves. The girl replies that Mina is a true expert on the subject and says that she visited many caves while exploring the ruins. Emi noticed that canaries can detect poisonous gas. She says that Mina is watching these birds. Manicho notes that they have a magical device for communication and thinks that she is too fast. He also mentions the magic of poison detection taught at security seminars in the company and uses this spell to find the poison. The hero notices that the spell worked and everything is fine. Minato says that the floor in the cave is not so bad, and decides to contact Menno after inspecting everything. He says that while digging, he came across a cave. Mena believes that going further without proper equipment is dangerous, and the boy says that Emi went to her and they need to meet. The girl asks what happened. He also believes that the frequent explosions are somehow connected to the Crimson Egg of Doom. The traveler thinks that a strong jolt is bad and says she heard an explosion. The main character replies that he already feels fine and asks if Amy has returned. Mina replies that no, she's just going to the tunnel, and asks what these jolts are and whether they come from the tunnel itself. She says that the girl is now next to her. The boy replies that he is glad as long as she is safe. It is also clarified that the passage is blocked. He thinks that he does not have time to dig it up again. The girl says that now you cannot just give up like that. You need to decide what to do next. It is reported that a red flag is flying on the watchtower. This is a sign that monsters have been spotted approaching. The heroes are surprised that the monsters sneaked up so suddenly, although they had previously moved very slowly. They wonder if the explosion and how quickly the monsters appear are connected. The girl reports that the operation will start a little earlier, and the heroes are preparing to set off. Mina tells Minato that she is very sorry, but they will stay and protect the city. She asks him to take care of the egg. Minato asks them to be careful. The hero hears a request to take care of the egg, is surprised, and asks if this is really his task. He uses healing magic. Minato understands that the explosion was so strong it could have injured a person. This means he is very close to the center of the anomaly, where the egg probably lies. He decides to continue the search because he has no other way out. The boy notices that the blood-red egg of evil is actually blue, and this surprises him greatly. He asks why it is blue, although it really does not matter. Minato decides to break the egg as quickly as possible to avoid any possible consequences. He notices something unusual, asks what it is, and suggests that it might be a cube. The young man understands that this box will prevent him from using combat spells. The main character assesses the level of threat and suddenly wonders that something begins to speak. The traveler wonders if he can start a dialogue with this box. He thinks it's a good idea to ask it a few questions, so he decides to introduce himself first. The cube responds that it is a transcendental object of rank S. This surprises the hero, and he asks what this term means. The discovered QB changes. It alters its form and structure. Minato guesses that it might be a guard dog or a guard bull, but realizes that in fact this mechanism is meant to protect an egg, and he also sees that this device is unlikely to obey his commands. The boy uses protective magic which barely withstands his blows, showing how strong he is. The hero notices that the first level of mana restriction has been lifted, and his request to exceed the limit was accepted. He uses various attacks: thunder cannon, enhanced fire barrage, wind cannon, water cannon, but none of them yield results. It seems to him that this machine has not yet started operating at full power. Minato says that he can also fight back. The main hero realizes that nothing worked and thinks that his magic cannot cause harm. The boy thinks about how to disable this machine and casts a spell. He thinks that perhaps his nameless spell will affect this dog-bull mechanism, but doubts that the machine will give him time to cast the magic. The boy hopes that if he can endure a little longer, the machine will either overheat, break down on its own, or lead him to something wonderful. The hero suspects that using force is pointless since magic does not work, but he still decides to take the risk. The traveler makes sure that his guesses were correct and notices that the machine calmly reacts to the attack. If attacked from such a distance, his soul will suffer greatly. Magic is already activating. I am not surprised that the enemy attacked the discarded pickaxe and not him, and I asked if it was related to how the pickaxe initially flew. The main character notices that at the place where the pickaxe was supposed to fall, there are some heavy magical crystals. This surprises him greatly. The boy explains that these are special heavy magical crystals. The guild monitors them because they can explode. Upon impact, such a crystal releases a lot of mana. Ordinary crystals are not nearly as powerful. He realizes that since the machine has protection in the form of a pickaxe, it is vulnerable to powerful explosions of magical crystals. This gives him a clue on how to win. The hero wonders why he decided to move away from the egg, activates magic, and asks himself if he can really afford to be there. Imminent tells the machine that he cannot both retreat and protect the egg at the same time, so he thinks about what is more important for him to protect. He asks what to protect, the egg or the crystals. The hero understands that if he tries to protect both at once, he will lose everything, and he emphasizes, the main thing now is the egg. The man says that in that case he will destroy them. The main character notes that even the machine could not predict his actions, because if he decides to shoot, he himself will end up in the damage zone. The young man believes that if this room really is an ancient ruin, its walls should be very strong. He decides to check this by causing a small explosion. The heroes are surprised that the monsters suddenly disappeared and wonder what is happening. The heroes notice that Minato really tried, and everyone noticed it. The boy returns after completing the task and says that now everything is finished. He meets a group of the best knights of Cardiff, with whom a guild representative goes. They ask him if he is Minato. The guild member says he wants to ask something and informs that they will go further on their own and asks the other knights to leave. The traveler notices a secret door and a hidden passage, after which he is told to wait. In the room, the hero sincerely marvels at such an unusual greeting, as he did not expect such a reception at all. He wonders what he did to deserve such attention. The hero believes that he was locked in the basement under Maya's house. He thinks that he will not be able to remove the shackles by force, and notices that although he was locked up, nothing worse is done to him. They communicate with him normally. The boy thinks it is better to follow their orders, although he may be mistaken. Minato seems to think that he has already seen this guild member somewhere, who is now putting these handcuffs on him, and wants to ask him something. The boy thinks that his face is hard to remember, but he is sure that he has seen this person with someone before. They report that their traces could not be found and advise everyone to stay vigilant. The main hero recalls that memories of this man were strongly overshadowed by the impression of his partner, and finally, he remembered everything. The young man thinks that this is the same boy who stands in the tavern behind Cardiff, and wonders if she ordered his arrest. The girl says that it is good that he returned. He asks why she detained him. Cardiff explains that he is suspected of trying to dig a tunnel to Maya to let the monsters in. The main character says that he dug a tunnel leading to the Crimson Egg of Evil. The girl notes that it seems this tunnel was made so that monsters could come out from underground directly into the city. Cardiff also says that she spoke with Amy and Mina, who confirmed Minato dug the tunnel together with them. The main heroine tells that there was a collapse in the middle of the tunnel, and Minato stayed there. The boy thinks that this explanation was not very clear. They say that 40,000 monsters disappeared after Minato destroyed the egg. The young man says that she is good at imitating people. Cardiff agrees and asks her to imagine that the area around the egg is full of monsters guarding it. She wonders how a mage can handle such a number of monsters alone. He also notices that when he arrived, everything was already cut up. The man realizes, if he does not pretend to be stupid, big problems might arise. The girl asks how he will prove it. The main character thinks that probably it will be difficult to keep pretending to be a fool further. The hero holds a round precious stone in his hand, which he found in the room after destroying the egg. He is not sure if this stone can prove anything, but he shows it anyway. He thinks that he would like to take home at least a piece of the broken shell, but he failed to find any fragment. The hero notices that this stone has the same color as the blood-red egg of doom. The man who knows about blood confirms that this is a genuine crystal of doom. They say that this is the perfect evidence for their case because they already knew about this thing before. Cardiff notices that the crystal he found has a blue color. The young man suggests that this might be related to the fact that the shell of the fatal red egg actually turned out to be blue. But the wasps cannot say that because then everyone would think that the boy himself saw this egg. People often say that crystals are very powerful magical catalysts that can tell a lot about the mana inside them. They say that you can find out where the monster came from, what type it is, and whether a human interfered in its creation. The girl asks Minato if she can keep the crystal for research. The hero agrees and explains. He took the crystal of doom with him to find out where the monsters come from. She confidently says that her prediction came true and claims that Minato is not their ally. The guild branch leader adds that they would never give away the crystal of doom just like that because they will not allow them to research something that could help catch them. The boy notices that their suspicions arose not because someone could have dug a tunnel for monsters into the city or destroyed the crimson egg of evil, but precisely because of the connection with them. The girl regrets that the hero had to go through such troubles. They say he was detained near the city for his own safety. He assumes that the guys hiding in the city might rob him if he carelessly takes the death crystal with him. Minato asks in surprise how dangerous these people are. Cardiff thanks Minato on behalf of the guild for saving the city, and asks if he wants to learn something about them. The main hero replies that he means they might follow him later. The girl says he can learn all the details from the leader. She tells the leader that now he has no reason to doubt anymore. The hero decides, if he is going to break the chain, it's better to take the shackles in his own hands. In the end, everyone understood. It was he who destroyed the egg. But the man she considers the main one still seems not quite sure. The character asks him if he has heard about the so-called invisible hand of the machine. He wonders what kind of ghost it is. The guide offers to show the exit and notes that there is no observation visible right now. Another character notices that nothing is visible and warns Minato to be careful. They say this place has always been connected with the guild. The heroes notice that everyone has gathered here to find out how they dealt with the monster onslaught. They feel that the leader seems to be dissolving among the people, or is simply trying not to stand out from the crowd. One of the heroes believes that the leader deliberately looks nondescript to avoid attracting the enemy's attention. So the hero decides to keep a low profile as well to remain unnoticed. People understand that now is not the best moment to attract attention. He worries that if he is noticed, they will definitely loudly shout his name, and it will echo throughout the entire guild hall. He also wonders how they even found out where he is. The boy thinks that he does not mind talking to them because they are clearly very worried. The leader says he understands. Minato would like to meet with them calmly because he feels guilty. The hero asks to wait a minute. The girls are annoyed because they think he arrested Minato. He is glad that they are all right, although he does not understand exactly what they are trying to explain to him. But it is clear that they were very worried. The leader wonders if he acted correctly and asks if he was really invited to leave Maya and explore the ruins with them. He says that earlier he would have been very interested to explore these ruins. The boy also thinks that if he goes with these two, he might accidentally reveal what happened. But right now he does not want to involve the girls in this situation. The hero thanks for deciding to stay in the city and help them. He says he is now moving on. Another character agrees and asks to come to the guild reception in 3 days. He promises to tell something that might come in handy. They say everything happened in 3 days. The main hero is happy because he had to sweat a lot to destroy the red egg of evil. He hopes to find something useful there, maybe even some reward. The girl recognizes the hero and happily asks if he is Minato. She heard about him from the Maya's Adventurers Guild. She announces that he received the fastest promotion in history and now has rank D. The secretary asks if he is satisfied and why, in her opinion, this is a great achievement. He thinks he still hasn't fully figured out how this evaluation system works. The boy thinks that promotion to rank D usually takes more time and believes the leader just used his connections. The hero thinks that this man is actually not bad. He is convinced that he can be trusted since he showed the secret passage from the basement to the guild. The young man thinks this will be more useful than money, and apologizes for thinking that they would offer him money. The girl cannot lift the box and says that it is for him. She says it is from the management, and the hero thinks that this is a real reward. He thinks he will drag it to the room but doesn't manage to finish speaking. Minato notices that the box is sealed with a special seal that only the owner can open. He is surprised by such strict measures and thinks that the box clearly contains more than just prize money. The traveler wonders if simply touching the seal is enough to open it. He finds a large number of gold coins in the chest and decides to use his inventory. The man asks how much all this costs and says 1 letter. The magician says that the letter does not indicate who it is from. The hero is surprised and asks if it is by any chance some kind of receipt. The hero imagines that a clean sheet of paper lies before him, but when he looks more closely, he sees letters and text on the sheet. It says that they thank him for help in the investigation, that someone touched the crystal, and that she will contact him later. Minato understands how important this discovery is, and realizes that some invisible force was actually trying to destroy the region by causing a monster invasion. The letter says that as a reward, they added 100 million zigs and returned the Crystal of Death. The main character is surprised and glad that the Doom Crystal, which previously belonged to him, has returned to him again. The boy was worried that if the people searching for the Crystal of Doom found out he had it, they would realize he was involved in their sabotage. He did not want to deal with such danger. The young man says that he cannot find the crystal of doom in the box. He finds a false bottom in the box and inside sees the crystal of doom. Minato wonders why give such a valuable thing which was also so carefully hidden. On the back of the document it is written that to secretly process or sell the crystal, one must contact the company Zizel. The hero took this information into account and decided that first he needed to get rid of the letter. The seeker of adventure says that he will take care of all the evidence himself. He decides to sell the crystal as soon as possible. The main character understands that this company secretly buys and sells dangerous crystals. This must be a special shop that serves famous adventurers. The boy notices that the building looks quite modest. They say that there is only one checkout counter in the store. The hero gazes at the map and thoughtfully says that it seems everything is correct. He thinks that there are only a third of the goods here compared to the shops near the guild, and it seems that soon there will be no money left at all. Minato takes a stone in his hand, looks at it in surprise, and compares it with ordinary pebbles that can be found everywhere. The mage wonders why he was brought to this small shop. Another character confidently says this is exactly the place they need, and the hero begins to suspect that this second character can read his thoughts. An elderly man who calls himself Jessel approaches the hero, holding the same stone in his hand.